Yo, what is up? I hope everyone is doing great. Hello, hello. Who do we have in the chat? Please say hello. Drop a like. This is a momentous occasion. Thank you so much for joining. My wife was joking that I was doing a live stream for 3 people. So I think I have at least 3 people here. I don't know. I will probably be getting to chats. Just note that I don't believe super chatting is possible, so you can save some money on that. Thank you very much. I can see Annie's in the house. Let me know where you're coming from. Hopefully this is a stream that people can access in different parts of the world. There we go. Mushroom, got Witch Doctor, Constellation Pegasus. Thank you for joining. Neo Prototype. He counts as two people. I guess he has a buddy that he's watching with. Thanks for joining. Where are you guys? Are you in the United States? I think there's okay, somebody from Annie's from Greece. Yasu, Yasaseolus. Здравствуйте всем. Hola todos. South Africa. Hopefully going to get more multilingual content up and running. I have a couple of things I can preview for you guys. This is our first ever live stream, so thank you for joining in. We're going to be doing this every Saturday, probably around this same time. I think this is a good window for me. It lets me get a lot of work done during the week and jumping on Saturdays. Let's see. Okay, so we got South Africa, we got Greece. Witch Doctor's in the house. I was just watching his pre-show. Thank you very much for all the support, all of the shout outs. Please drop some likes. Let me get this open on another window so I can monitor that. And let's see. So we are going to have a giveaway. That is the rule of today's stream. So by the end of the stream, we got 14 people watching. Okay. So by the end of the stream, I am going to get somebody will have to get in touch with me when they're the winner to make sure they get me Yasu Adoni. Got one of my Greek students in here. So I'm going to be sending out one of my, where is it? Here we go. One of my new Timeline of the Bible posters. So audio check, by the way. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm sure if they couldn't hear me, they would mention it in the chat that there was an audio issue. So I just printed out a ton of these bad boys. And if you haven't caught it already, Matt Baker over at, all right, hello, Travis from Utah, Yasu, another Greek student of mine. So Matt Baker over at Useful Charts is somebody who has a very successful YouTube channel and poster business. Let me go ahead and plug him because he's awesome. And I've been a fan of him for so long. Okay, you saw the Baker video. So I've been a fan of this guy for a really long time. So this is Useful Charts. So Useful Charts is a website you should definitely check out. He sells a ton of these charts, a lot of which I already have. So we have writing systems of the world. This one is really awesome. I got this one somewhere. I wanted to show off some of these that I have. The one that I have that is one of my favorites is, first of all, Ancient Egypt History and Mythology. So this is one that he has that has basic hieroglyph sounds, because hieroglyphs are actually some of them represent sounds and some of them represent concepts, and so these are the sounds. He has the family tree of Greek mythology. He just dumped a whole bunch of stuff on this chart. This is one that I like to have on the wall to analyze. I've made a few modifications to it. I added some of the sacred bulls, the Nevis bull. I added Montu here. I did a little customization by just putting my own stickers on it. But it's pretty much a really solid chart. And then another favorite of mine that you should definitely check out if you're a fan, and I'm just plugging his stuff. This is his Greek mythology family tree. So Matt has basically put together the Greek and Latin names of all of these of the pantheon, the Greek pantheon, And what I've done is I've added the actual Greek names in Greek with little stickers on it. So I am trying to twist Matt's arm to allow me to help him put together a Greek version, because right now it's all in English letters, the Greek and the Latin names. But that's a really cool chart. I got a bunch of these things. So I've had these things for like a decade. I've been following Useful Charts since they were a smaller channel and a smaller operation. You know, the guy was just kind of like working out of his garage. Since then, he's really blown up. And so when I started Cross Bible, being a nerd and, you know, wanting to make this chart, I reached out to him just to get some pointers and just figure out how he does it. I have a chart behind me, by the way, that is a gospel synopsis chart that I'm working on creating a Cross Bible version of that, because we're working on a gospel synopsis module that's going to line up the synoptic gospels and maybe bring the Gospel of John in there too. That one is just basically showing you a linkage between the chapters of the Gospels, but I digress. Matt has a lot of great content. You should definitely be subscribed to him. You should definitely be watching his stuff. And I have a link in the description to a video that I'll play a little bit of that he recently released. It was Friday he released that. And man, I got a major boost from that. So Matt at Useful Charts, big shout out. Definitely, if you haven't watched this video, I'll show a brief snippet of it. And man, he is excellent. I don't know if I can see the you hear audio from this. Let's see if I can play the. I don't think you're getting any audio. I'm not exactly sure how to play it. The audio. No audio, right? Yeah, I don't think you guys can hear it. Sorry. Again, this is our first live stream, and this is the first time I've ever been at the helm of a StreamYard stream. So I don't know exactly how to even play this clip with audio. Yeah. Okay. So basically, this is the video. I'll play it in the background, even though you can't hear it probably. Um, he basically agreed. He said, you know, like I asked him what he could do to help promote, you know, my channels. Okay, you can hear it. You can hear the audio. Um, I don't know then how to boost it. So here's the thing. Matt has a lot of Bible timelines, like timelines that are related to the Bible, the history of the Bible, and his sort of business model is really brilliant, right? He makes a chart, he works on all the graphics, he produces a video where he zooms in and out and basically explains something using the visual aid of the graphical, you know, like the chart or the diagram that he puts together. Then he gets that out on YouTube, promotes it, and then people order it, right? So Cross Bible is kind of doing a similar thing. You are able to go onto the Cross Bible website. So, like, if you hop over to Cross Bible, you can go to the store. And I currently have two posters right now. I have a poster of the timeline of the Bible, which is the one featured in that video, and I have a poster of Greek pronunciation that I've put together. That is basically the platform for me to teach people uh, ecclesiastical, modern Greek pronunciation, since that is very much not a popular choice, but it is one that I promote. So you can come on here and you can purchase these posters over here. This helps support our mission. So what we're doing here, the YouTube channel is not monetized. We're pretty new. We're just getting started, and we are a work in progress. The cement on our Bible software is not dry. So we are constantly evolving. We are constantly developing new features, and that is why. Okay, share audio, Chrome tab. Got it. That is why we have a new Discord group. And the Discord group, just so you're aware, you may participate in other Discords. If you come over to Cross Bible Discord, we're going to be focused mostly on the Bible study software. So you're welcome to link some of my videos. You're welcome to, critique me or ask me questions or say, we keep open discussions in various channels. But the real purpose here is to focus on giving us, and I say us as in me, my team, my developers, the people who are sort of helping me out with Cross Bible, to improve the website, to improve the software, to improve the timeline. So the timeline is also kind of this crowdsourced product. So I have received feedback from my videos and from Matt Baker's video of people saying, "Hey, I think you should maybe relink this to this." The Discord link is in the description, and I think I put it at the top so it would be easier for me to. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So the Discord link is there. Okay, I see. So yeah, you can, and there's the Patreon link as well. I think Patreon link got cut off. So you can come onto Discord and you can point things out. If I've, made a mess of something on the timeline, recently, for example, there were some changes where somebody was suggesting that maybe, in this chain, the King James Bible is kind of it's a revision of the Bishop's Bible. Its connection to the Geneva Bible is more like it was a response to the Geneva Bible, but it was based on the Bishop's Bible. So like I have a solid line here, I have a dashed line here. If you compare the live version of the timeline to what you may have seen on Matt Baker's video is a snapshot in time of what the timeline looked like when I sent it to him to produce his video. I didn't sponsor his video. I didn't even ask him to do it. He just volunteered to do it. And I was like, great. And he did a great job presenting this. Now, there is a caveat, and the caveat on this timeline that I'm going to explain right now is this note right here. And I will read it out loud because I get a lot of critiques over this particular aspect of the timeline. Note, New Testament textual critics who adhere to the coherence-based genealogical method, the CBGM, have largely abandoned the traditional categorization of manuscripts into text types as presented in this timeline, preferring instead to group textual variants into clusters. So what we have here, and this is something that I discussed with Matt before he produced his video, and we just agreed that, to keep things simple, we're just going to explain the chart as it is, which is featuring this concept of text types or textual families, right? With a Byzantine text, the Caesarean text, the Alexandrian text, the Western text, and then mixtures of those. The reality is that because the coherence-based genealogical method is currently underpinning the Editio Critica Maior, which is over here, which is going to be basically the basis of all of the new versions of the Bible that are going to be printed from here on out in Greek. And I mean the New Testament, right? The Greek New Testament. Because the coherence-based genealogical method is feeding into this new version of the Bible, and because the people who are overseeing this project have basically declared that all of these textual families represented in this chart are to some extent invalid, or at least with respect to their methodology and the way that they've set up their computer program to basically detect when manuscripts have something called pre-genealogical coherence, right? Where they basically like how close do these two manuscripts line up? Well, theoretically, if the family tree, if this sort of taxonomy of manuscripts was true, and you can watch the Matt Baker presentation for more details, right? I'm not going to sort of go over everything that he touched on. The idea is that if you were to compare any manuscript in this blue group to any manuscript in this green group, and then compare another manuscript in this green group to another manuscript in the green group ones should overlap more, and they should be different from the blue groups, right? Like the blue groups, at least according to this legacy system that has been in place for, over 100 years, you would expect the green group to all sort of feed into each other and be coherent, right? To sort of match like 80% of the time, 90% of the time. And you would expect less overlap between the groups. And what they have found through their sort of computer aided research, right? They have computer algorithms that do this. It's not AI, but they're computer algorithms. They've discovered that there are manuscripts that overlap between the so-called Western text in green here and the Alexandrian text in blue here. So, scholars who are at the forefront of this, I'm going to name Dr. Peter Gurry, for example, in case he's watching. Shout out to Dr. Peter Gurry. Much respect for Dr. Peter Gurry. he has basically laid this out in a few books that I was going to show on screen, but they're all on our study resources site. So if you go to study resources, you can come into the textual criticism section. And if this is something that interests you, like what is the original Bible? How can we construct it? What did the original Greek say? What's the difference between the translations that are like the based on the Textus Receptus and the Byzantine text, like the King James Bible and the more critical editions, and why are there verses missing from the critical editions? We're going to go over some of that today. If you're curious about that, you can read a lot of the books that I've recommended here. And the thing is that like a lot of these books, and these are Amazon affiliate links, by the way, so I get a few cents if you purchase a book here. These books like the text of the New Testament and a lot of the foundational literature that all of our modern Bibles are basically based on, they all assumed that the New Testament manuscripts all sort of fit more or less cleanly with some overlap into these textual families, right? So I have some of these books here I was going to show off because they're my strong recommendations. So like if you look at the textual commentary in the Greek New Testament by Bruce Metzger, this book and all of the explanations that it gives, and you basically like look up a Bible verse, a contested Bible verse, right? A verse that has a textual variant, that it has different manuscripts say different things, right? If you look anything up in here, he's going to be talking about these text types, right? He's going to be talking about the Alexandrian text. He's going to be talking about the Western text. He's going to be referring to manuscripts in those terms. Also, if you read that book that I just showed, so the text of the New Testament by the Allans, Kurt Allan and Barbara Allan, you're also going to find references to those text types, right? Like they sort of that was axiomatic. That was the axiom. They just believed that these text types were a thing. It was a tradition that was passed on since the 19th century Bible scholarship that sort of started figuring out what these families might be. At first, there was an idea that maybe there was an Eastern text. Like basically, the New Testament was composed between the first and the second century, right? And that it was copied over time. We don't have a lot of early witnesses to what it said in the early period, but we have later witnesses. And by the time we get to the later witnesses, which are just manuscripts that attest to different readings, all of a sudden we have these differences, right? And the differences can be clustered in a way that seems like they fit into sort of families, right? So we had this idea that maybe at some point in the second century, that's what this column is, right? It's second century AD. Copyists were copying from the original at some point, right? And then copyists were copying from them and copying from them. And eventually you got to the point where, by the time we get to our historical record, right? Like 3rd century, 4th century, big Bibles, we got all these differences, right? And the differences were, an attempt was made to put these differences into clusters called families, like the Eastern text, which would have been the hypothetical predecessor of the Byzantine text, majority text. The Caesarean family, which is, people called some of these terms into question. There was this idea that they were geographical. So maybe this Caesarean text type originated in Caesarea. That was the idea. The Alexandrian text type was from Alexandria, Egypt. A lot of these manuscripts that seemed to fit this text type were found in Egypt. So it made sense. Alexandria had a library. There was a lot of scholarship going on there. People were copying. So maybe it fit into the Alexandrian family. Let's call it that. Then we have the Western text, which was, we have Greek exemplars from the Western text, but most of the Western text is in Latin, a little bit in Syriac. Jerome's Vulgate, we don't know what his sources were. We don't actually even know what the Vulgate said exactly, but we have later copies of the representatives of the Vulgate. So if you get into any of the text critical literature, these are the terms that you're going to find. These are the explanations you're going to find. This reading is Alexandrian. This reading is Western. You can see the Western text. I'll briefly note 5th century AD. You have Codex Bezae Cantabrigensis. I know some of you might want to drop a name in the chat if you know of a particular public educator that loves to show off his facsimile copies. I'm going to show off one of my facsimile copies. I have a facsimile copy of Codex Bezae, Codex Bezae Cantabrigensis, which has, in this order, I got little Bible tabs. I'm a big nerd. Matthew, John, Luke, Mark, and Acts, right? That's the order that he has them in. And it is basically a diglot where in one column you have Greek, in another column you have Latin. Now, there are no verse numbers in the original, right? So the verse numbers are put here in the margins to represent how you can basically align this ancient manuscript with our modern Bibles, because modern Bibles have numbers and ancient manuscripts don't. And one of the interesting things is this is one of the oldest examples we have, right? Codex Bezae Cantabrigensis. This Bible was made in the 5th century. It's one of the oldest manuscripts we have that actually attempts to line up the Latin with the Greek. And what you have in later Bibles, when we start getting the first sort of verse numbers introduced into what would become modern Bibles, especially in the print age, where those little chapter numbers and verse numbers are helpful indexes, but the original authors and the oldest copyists, they had no idea what those numbers were. They had no idea how later people were going to eventually break up their text, right? Like they were writing text in columns that were just like this. I mean, it was in the original, these would be like majuscule texts, right? Like big capital letters, no spaces, really hard to read. And this is by far one of the most fascinating manuscripts in the tradition. If you look up a Swanson, so Reuben Swanson, these books are also, I think, on my study resources page. Reuben Swanson takes all of these manuscripts and all of these readings and lines them up in a horizontal layout so you can see where exactly the words differ between the manuscripts. Amazing resource. So his version of Acts is much thicker than the Gospels or any of the other books. He didn't finish. He passed away before he could finish the entire New Testament. But Reuben Swanson did a lot of really great work. Those are amazing resources. Another amazing resource he has is the horizontal line synopsis of the Gospels, Greek edition. This, like the chart behind me, right? The chart behind me is a gospel synopsis that's showing exactly how Matthew took Mark and inserted his additions into Mark, and then how Luke took Mark and inserted his additions, and then how Luke lines up with Matthew, because it's disputed whether or not Luke knew Matthew. That's a whole other can of worms. But this is one of the best synopsises in print. I think it's out of print. I don't remember how much I got this for on Amazon, but this is one that actually lines things up horizontally, as opposed to gospel synopses that line things up vertically like this. So here you would have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and then John, right? So one of the reasons why I'm doing this, right? Like I get a lot of questions. Like, what is cross Bible? How is it different? Like, why are you building Bible software in the first place, right? Which is a valid question. So one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because I got a stack of books next to me, right? Like I pulled these off of my shelf so I could show you. My experience in sort of general kind of trying to dig deeper into Bible study and dig deeper into scripture and learn Hebrew and learn Greek, mostly learn Greek, but I'm trying to learn Hebrew. My experience has been that once you start really digging deep, you find that I make a lot of trips to my bookshelf, basically. When I hit, I'll hit a stumbling block, right? I'm reading through a chapter. I'm trying to sort of pull out of the text what it is the author's trying to convey. I come across something that then, points at an Old Testament reference. So, okay, like I'm in the New Testament, and this is something that you're gonna find sort of highlighted in a lot of my content, and you'll see it on the homepage. So if you're looking at a cross reference, right? And this is the primary example that I have featured here on this mock-up, which this is a mock-up of the way that the sort of original prototype looked. This is going to be very, very different, and we're updating the homepage. So hopefully in a I don't know, a month or two, I'm going to have a homepage that has mock-ups of the way it actually looks like now, and I'm going to demo some of that. I wanted a system that would allow me to compare the New Testament to the Old Testament whenever a cross-reference came up. using the Greek Septuagint, because unfortunately, whenever you come across a cross-reference, like in Luke 4:18, when Jesus is reading from a scroll of Isaiah 61, and he gets to the part where he says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor and heal the brokenhearted and preach deliverance to the captives and recover sight to the blind and set at liberty those that are bruised." When you have a footnote that says, "Oh, this is Isaiah 61:1," you flip back to it and it's like, it's different, right? This is a problem. This is a problem that modern Bible publishing and the Protestant tradition doesn't really fix, right? It's an issue. It's kind of an editorial issue or a publishing issue. The reason being that because the Bible translation industry prefers to translate from the original languages, they take the New Testament, which is in Greek, and they translate that into English. And then they take the Old Testament from Hebrew and translate that into English. But what they're translating from Hebrew is the Hebrew Masoretic text. And this is something I gripe about a lot, is that this creates a disjointed Bible, like the way that the Bible is printed. And I'll show you one example of the sort of straw that broke the camel's back for me. Where is it? Okay, so I spent a lot of time in Russia when I was a teenager. I moved to Russia. I went to school there, and I brought with me a Bible. Right, my dad gave this to me. This was a gift. This is a Russian Bible that was that's probably it's from the United Bible Societies, right? 1995 edition. So this Russian Bible is basically a Protestant edition of a Russian Bible, right? So this is not the Bible that most Russian people use, is what I came to realize, is that because they are Eastern Orthodox, this isn't really their Bible, right? This is a Russian version of our Bible, right? Like I'm Protestant. So I was bringing my Protestant Bible in Russian, right, to evangelize basically and read the Bible to people. But then I got my hands on an actual Russian Bible. This one right here is a actual Russian Orthodox Bible. And man, when you really start comparing these, it's not just that they're different translations. It's not just the United Bible Society has one translation. Maybe this is a bit more literal. This is more paraphrastic, or vice versa. They're fundamentally different. The New Testament, not so much. But when you get to the Old Testament, all of a sudden, it's like, okay, you look up Isaiah 61:1 in this Bible, there's no recovering of sight to the blind to be found there, right? What Jesus is reading in that section is not there. You look it up in the Orthodox Bible, and we're talking about Russian here, right? We're not talking about Greek. I wasn't studying Greek at the time. I was learning Russian at the time. This one has recovery of sight to the blind. So basically what I discovered is that the Orthodox Bible, at least the way it's formatted, is like it's in harmony, right? You're reading the New Testament. The New Testament is quoting the heck out of the Septuagint, right? Like it is constantly referring back to the Hebrew scripture in the Greek, right? Because the authors are using Greek texts. And then when you flip back to it, boom, it's like almost exactly what it says, right? Like it has recovery of sight to the blind. And so what I realized is like, wow, in this Orthodox Bible, I can like flip back and forth and it all matches, right? But in this one, you can't do that. At least, and I'm talking about small differences, but in this case, it's a big difference, right? In some cases, it's small differences. In some cases, it's just like, oh, the message will come out of Zion. And then in some cases, the message will come for Zion. So is it coming out of Zion to the Gentiles, or is it for Israel? There are little things like that I think they add up to significant differences, right? Because the early Christians were pretty much mostly Greek speaking. They were working with that particular version of the Bible. And as I highlight in the timeline, their version of the Bible was different. Their version of the Bible was based on the Septuagint. Okay, so let's go back to the timeline. And I'm going to meander a lot in this. I will eventually get to the chat to sort of help ground me because I have a lot to cover. But the recent video on useful charts did not cover the Old Testament portion of this timeline. So I'm going to try to fill in that gap right here. So again, for anybody who has seen me on any other podcasts or any other channels discussing the timeline of the Bible, I'm going to just try to cover this really briefly. So the Hebrew Masoretic text that we have today, right, which is all over here, right, critical editions of the Hebrew Bible, are for the most part based on a tradition that goes, let me see the centuries here, that goes all the way back to the 10th and 11th centuries, right? These are medieval texts. These are medieval texts that were created at some point before then, the Hebrew Masoretic text, in a tradition that had all the vowels, had all of the nikud, they had the punctuation. It was all, it was the final form of the text, right? This Hebrew text reached its final form in the 10th and 11th century. And before that, the final form was in flux, right? We have manuscripts from the Dead Sea Scrolls that line up with Masoretic text, but also some that line up with the Septuagint and some that line up with the Samaritan Pentateuch, right? So whoever was copying these texts in Qumran were seemingly pretty comfortable with the sort of fluidity of different kinds of texts, just like we have. You know, I have some next to me, right? I have some texts that are Byzantine, right? I have the Byzantine text form, right? All of these red manuscripts. So this Bible that I have right here, let me just, is the Robinson Pierpont, I think, edition. Yeah. So these are modern Bibles that are basically textually reconstructing, right? They're text critical editions that are reconstructing what was likely the prototype of the Byzantine text. So this particular Bible, it's in Greek. It's a reader's edition, so it has some translations at the bottom. I think I have this on the resources tab too. This is a fundamentally different kind of Bible than the UBS edition, right? The UBS edition is over here on the timeline. So this is the critical text, right? This is the UBS 5. So if you're reading, so basically, here we go. This is the Greek text that is behind this Russian translation, and that is behind our English translations, right? It is missing verses that we're going to go over, right? Like there are verses that have just been taken out, and instead of, you know, and they've skipped the number so you can see where it's missing. It does not have in the Old Testament of this. It's based on the Hebrew, not the Greek. That's what we got here. We have like sort of modernity, right? We have here in the Byzantine text, we have tradition, right? This is the traditional received text, or, you know, it's not Textus Receptus, but it's very, very close to it, right? And this is what the King James Bible is based on. So I don't know, for me, when I started studying and, you know, studying Greek and getting more deep into this than I did growing up, you know, as a Protestant, going to church twice a week and going to Christian school and, you know, doing Sunday school, I didn't really get taught this kind of thing, right? Like nobody explains this stuff to you. And the footnotes are usually pretty cursory, and they don't really, you know, they can send you down rabbit holes if you choose to go down them. But for the most part, you know, the whole reading experience is designed around just sort of keeping you going through the text. Footnotes are in fine print for a reason, because they're sort of like distracting, right? You don't know what to pay attention to. So what I'm trying to build is basically a platform for people like you. Like, who is this for, right? This is for you. If you're here, if you're listening to me now and you haven't shut this off because I've been rambling about things that if you've checked out by now and you're like, this stuff isn't really interesting, then Cross Bible is not for you, right? There is a certain segment of the let's call it the market, right? Like of the audience of people who just really like to skim the surface of their Bible, right? And I've gotten this feedback from a lot of people, a lot of like potential investors and people who are sort of evaluating what I'm doing and deciding whether or not they should support it. They're just like, look, most Christians skim the surface of their Bible, right? Like they don't look at the footnotes. They've never seen a gospel synopsis in their life. They don't know what a Septuagint is. Why are you bothering to create like a gospel synopsis that lines up the 4 gospels? This is just going to confuse people, right? Like this is my vision, right? Like, and this doesn't exist yet. This is a mock-up of kind of what I have envisioned. If I can sort of get the fuel to build this, for me, I would have killed for a resource like this, you know, 10 years ago when I started. Like the print synopsises are great. There's a lot of great print material available out there. And there aren't a lot of digital resources that coalesce all of this kind of stuff into one platform. And the thing that drives me is that I don't want to live in a world where a resource like Cross Bible doesn't exist because nobody thinks there's a market for it and everybody's just going to like settle for what we have, right? All of the Bible was digitized in the 90s. I'm going to try as a matter of policy just to kind of not badmouth any other platforms out there that are all doing a great job in their own little niche, right? So we have desktop Bible study software, legacy software, like the incumbents of the market who have a really strong foothold in the sort of scholarly sphere, right? So they've been around since the 90s. The legacy Bible websites have been around since the 90s. They were the first people to really take all of this text, these huge libraries of resources, and digitize them and put them on the internet, right? And put them in the software you could download in your Bible. And you can go on there and you can spend thousands of dollars purchasing all of this this intellectual property and getting it into your little digital library so that you can have it at your fingertips and on your computer. And that's great. That's a miracle. I'm sure it was just incredibly miraculous by the end of the 90s, like when there was one Bible reading platform that was one of the first apps in the App Store when the App Store first came out, and people are like reading it on their phones. Like, you have the Bible in your phone now. Like you have all of human knowledge in your phone. Of course, that's amazing, but we have to move past that to the next phase where that information isn't just digitized, it's interactive, right? That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to build a platform that will prevent me from taking multiple trips to my bookshelf, right? From stacking books up to my waist next to me so I can show them to you, like here. Like, oh, I have the Dead Sea Scrolls Bible right here, right? Like, if I want to find textual variants that match the Dead Sea Scrolls, I can pick up this book. I got a diglot Greek English text Septuagint, right? This is Brenton, so this is an oldie but goodie in the public domain diglot with the Greek and the English right here. Well, guess what? This is available in Cross Bible, right? So I can jump into this. By the way, if you like the format, right? If you like, I'm playing around with my own custom format, but this is sort of a sepia theme, so it's like a little brownish text as opposed to black text. You can do this by signing in, so you can go and you can register, and you can kind of customize your settings to be like light mode, dark mode. You can set a font color. These customizations are available for free. I got to do that. I'm going to be demoing some of this stuff right here. So if you jump into this, let me just demonstrate. So I'm in Genesis 2, right? I am in the New International Version, and I can add a text right next to it, and I can drop it down into, and you don't see the selector menu right now because the animation, the thing in the web browser that pops up this Bible version menu, it doesn't show in StreamYard. So it looks like I'm not clicking on anything, but I'm actually clicking the book selector menu. So what I can do now in Cross Bible is I can line up the NIV with the Hebrew text that it's translating from, which is the Westminster Leningrad Codex, right? I can compare them line by line. I can flip them. So anybody who's familiar with Cross Bible, you already know that this capability exists. It's pretty neat, right? I can adjust it like that, so I can get things. I mean, obviously, there's a fundamental alignment issue here because the Hebrew is going from right to left. The English is going from left to right. Originally, I had the Hebrew lined up on the left-hand side, and I realized I needed to fix it. So now it's fixed, and I'm using a nice Hebrew font. So if you wanted to, well, right now I'm comparing the English to the Hebrew that it's translated from. But what I can also do is I can drop in Brenton right here. I can drop Brenton in and swap out the NIV for Brenton, and I can also drop in Brenton's Greek. And so basically, I now have a resource here that is better than this. Like, I don't need to grab this from my shelf anymore, right? Like, I have it here. So that's the idea. Is it's not just digitizing resources. It's, if I just had a digital edition of Brenton, then that would, it would be the same thing. But what I have here is the ability to sort of flip them back and forth and compare them. And I can come in here and I can pin, verse 3. I can hit this button that is social media sharing, right? So I can clip this. Hold on a second. Let me clip. Sometimes this requires a page refresh. So I'm demoing something that, like, the cement is not dry on this, by the way. So you will find some bugs. That's why I want people to. I will put the Discord link for anybody who can't get it from the description. But if you go, okay, I'm gonna post this in the chat. So I just posted in the chat a link that I copied from Cross Bible that includes the English, the Greek, and the hyperlink. And anybody that clicks in that on that hyperlink is going to be transported into Cross Bible in this exact format. Like, boom. I don't know. Again, I think that this kind of functionality, like, I know the people very well, personally know people in the chat right now who are supporters who benefit from this, right? Who like the interactivity, who like the sort of social media sharing aspect of it. They like the ability to come in here and say, like, I'm taking a note on this verse, and you can save this note and reference it later. You can bookmark the verse, right? Like, I can come in here and I can say, I'm going to put a bookmark on this verse, and I'm going to say, this is a, inspiration bookmark. And I can color code my bookmarks. I can categorize my bookmarks. These are all new features. These study features, these, like the note taking, the bookmarks, we're about to release highlighting. This stuff is going to be available in the next, by August for sure. We're working out some kinks. It's really a question of when we release features. We always release them. If you wait until the feature has, like, no bugs and has been thoroughly tested and then release it, you released it too late, right? You got to release it fairly quickly. We're trying to strike a balance between releasing stuff that's super buggy that people are going to complain about, and releasing things that have been tested and, like, fine-tuned and we've ironed out all the kinks. Discord is for that. So if you jump into the Cross Bible Discord, you will see that there are people who will post screenshots of things that aren't quite working, like, oh, these texts aren't aligned, or this, like, I'm clicking this button, it's not doing what I need to do. That's part of this process, right? So the one of the main differentiators here, and a lot of people will ask, like, what's the differentiator? What makes Cross Bible different from these other platforms? Is that Cross Bible is being really actively developed. Like, we are brainstorming. Like, I wake up every morning thinking about this product, trying to envision, like, how do I fix this issue? How do I improve this? How do I serve my audience, right? How do I serve you, the people who are watching this live, the people who are going to be watching this later and who are still watching because they're interested in this sort of thing? Like, I'm trying to basically make your experience better. And I'm open to feedback. Like, people can go onto Discord and say, you know what, I really want a button that does this, or I really want a feature that does this. We are receptive to that feedback. And if it's a good suggestion, I'm probably going to implement it, right? Try doing that with your favorite Bible software. Try doing that with your favorite Bible website, like the ones that just sort of serve you ads and probably, have big budgets and have millions of users and sort of don't really, like, they have no incentive to improve their product, right? Like, I've been using, and I've been a sort of lifetime user of a lot of these products that I'm trying to best. And I can tell you that, like, a lot of them haven't really changed in, like, a decade, right? Like, maybe they've added, like, one new feature or two new features or a couple of little, like, I can tell, obviously, if you're running a big, website or software company, you do need to continually keep things up to date. You need to improve things. You need to at least keep things secure, right? There are patches, there are updates, but that can be a full-time job, right? You can, your developers can be very busy just keeping the functionality that you have working, right? And a lot of the times when they build features that have, all of these buttons on the interface, and they add to it every year in the beginning period, right? So in the 90s, these things were getting developed. In the early 2000s, these things were getting developed. And now, like, when I open up my, like, full blown Bible software on my desktop that has all the, like, the bells and whistles, it's really intimidating. Like, they have a lot of different options of things you can do. That I don't think is necessarily a good thing, right? Like, I think that my vision for this platform is something that's going to be simple, it's going to be user friendly, it's going to be powerful, but not convoluted with too many buttons and not too many knobs to turn, right? So really, I'm trying to carve out a sort of segment of the audience that is going to take people who are sort of beginners. Maybe they're getting to an advanced stage, or they're interested in moving up to an advanced stage, but they're not enrolled in a PhD program. They're not in seminary. They have regular jobs, they have regular lives, and they just want to dig a little deeper into the Bible. I want that, like, let's say that they're over here, right? And they're the beginners. I want to take a portion of those people and get them into Cross Bible, get them taking notes, get them highlighting, get them cross comparing different versions, noting the differences, watching our content, engaging with our content, and becoming more advanced students of the Bible and raising their level of awareness so that they're sliding on the scale from beginner to advanced, even though they might never get to like the full-blown advanced, right? Maybe they don't learn Greek and Hebrew. But they at least learn to use the tools that can pick apart the Greek and Hebrew, right? So from that spectrum, from beginner to advanced, they're going to move over into the intermediate, and they're going to become cross Bible users, right? On the other hand, you have the advanced users, right? So you have people who have PhDs, who are in seminary or graduated from seminary, pastors. Maybe they're people who already know Greek and Hebrew, and a lot of those people are probably already power users of their desktop Bible software, right? They've been using it for 20 years. They are loyal to that, platform, and would never even touch a Bible website. Ew, Bible websites, right? Like they may have a negative association with Bible websites because, Bible websites don't have the capabilities of desktop softwares, and they've never even attempted to implement, such robust word search features and things that their desktop software does. So getting those people to kind of like turn to the dark side and like abandon their Bible software that they've invested all this money into, like I'm not after those people, right? I'm not after the people who just want to skim the surface and maybe just like read the Bible in the pew on Sunday in their phone and then leave it and never touch it again. People who are sort of non-committal and dabbling a little bit, yeah, they're probably not going to be that inspired by a platform that lets them really dig deep, right? And the people who are like already super advanced, yeah, they're probably a little snobby, right? They're probably not going to even want to use their browser because they're so invested in their Bible software, and they may be, they're power users of that Bible software, and they're loyal. So okay, so maybe I won't get the far advanced crowd, but I'll get a portion of them who are like, yeah, you know what, like I'm not a fan of like 1,000 different buttons on the interface, and every time they update something, I need to take like another course in how to use it. It's like I think I can carve out a section of the more advanced users, a section of the beginners who want to move into advanced, and move everybody kind of into this middle where I can build the community of people who will give feedback on the product and help guide the direction of the product, which is why I am promoting the Discord links, right? So let me first make sure that I give everybody a Discord link. So let's go to YouTube. So if you haven't already, please, oh, there we go. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I am almost at 2,000 subscribers. Probably shouldn't. Let me see. Ooh, okay. Discord link. Boom. Okay. So Cross Bible, it would be great if in the near future, maybe for next week's live stream, we could do a celebratory stream where I can celebrate hitting 2,000 subscribers. That would be excellent. We're really trying to grow the channel. I'm probably going to do this every Saturday. And I will try to keep the future live streams a bit more focused. I know I'm rambling a lot because I got a lot to cover. And do regular live streams, regular community engagement with the chat, regular engagement on Discord. The Discord links I'm creating are going to be valid for a week. So I don't want to open up the floodgates necessarily to Discord. I know we're going to get a lot of people in Discord that are going to maybe want to argue about theology. We may get a mixture of believers and non-believers, Christian apologists and counter apologists. Like, you're in the wrong place, right? That is not what it's for. It's not because I want to sing Kumbaya and make sure that everybody is getting along. We don't have to get along. We just have to converge on this idea that we shouldn't settle for stagnation in this industry, right? In the sort of Bible software ecosystem. I could rattle off names of like 40 different websites and Bible sort of software products, web-based software products that I'm currently sort of competing with, in a sense, that all sort of have individual quirks that make them unique, right? So there's a reason why somebody would get it into their head, will wake up one morning and say, you know what? Even though there's like 30 different Bible websites out there, I'm going to make a new one, right? Like, and I'm going to make it do like this one thing or these two things or these three things. Yeah, I'm kind of in that boat too, but I kind of have a bigger vision here, right? Also, another thing as part of this vision that is going to be built into the platform is, you know, right now, if you, for example, like, let's say I want to make Greek my primary version, right? I'm going to pin the Greek version. I'm pin the Septuagint here. Well, what that does is that creates a book menu, which you can't see the whole menu when it pops up. But basically, when you select a new book, all of the book menu is going to be in that language. And that's going to be the case, like if I select Korean, right? Like the Korean revised version, that is also, oh, you know what? I don't have the Korean book names. Sorry. Okay, this was a bug. The Korean book names are still in English, but the goal, let me see. Let me see if I can get it in, see what happens when I switch to Russian. Boom. Okay, so now I have book names in Russian. This is a font that we're going to fix. This is like an old church Slavonic font. We're going to make this a bit more readable in Russian. The goal is basically to have the entire website localized in everyone's language, right? So if you, there's no really good reason why, you know, just because we have like the most popular, you know, language in the world right now. I mean, kind of maybe Chinese is going to take it over, but we are hoarding all of the resources in the English language, right? We have all of the best Bible commentaries are in English. There's some good resources in German as well, but we have a monopoly on English language resources, and that's kind of not fair, right? So if you're in a country like, let's say, you know, in Brazil, I know, like, you know, there are people in Brazil who speak Portuguese. They are asking me about getting Brazilian Bibles on the platform. We are actively getting a lot of Bibles on the platform. Let me just show you what we have right now. And this is going to be a screenshot. Let me
Los marcadones y
okay. Sorry. That was a preview that I'm going to show you in a second. Image file. Okay. So I am going to show you the book menu. So when you click on the book menu, it pops up. We got the American Standard Version, Berean Study Bible, a lot of public domain Bibles, right? We have Brenton's English Septuagint. We have the English Standard Version. We have the JPS Tanakh 1970 edition. Still working on getting the updated edition. KJV 1611, 1769. The New American Standard Version 2020. The NIV. Tyndale, Webster, and Weymouth. So that's the English lineup. We got a ton of Greek, guys. We got like Beza's Greek New Testament, Brenton's, the Byzantine text form, 1904 Nestle, the patriarchal text of the Eastern Orthodox Church. We got Ralph's 1935 edition, the SBL, Statistical Restoration Greek New Testament, Stephanus, the Sweet Cambridge Septuagint, the Textus Receptus Elsevier edition, Tischendorf, Tregelles, and Westcott Hort. There aren't many other platforms that have that many Greek Bibles, and none of them have the capability to really go through and like line things up, right? So let me get to some chat, because I'm seeing a lot of chat and I'm neglecting it. Hey, Sissy, my sister's in the chat. My sister said, congratulations, little brother. Thank you. Love you. So Neo Prototype has said that he's confused about the copyright issues. You can copyright a translation of something in the public domain. Yeah. If I translate something, my translation is copyrighted, right? It's the source text could be in the public domain, but my translation is a unique expression of that source text, right? So um, I really have adopted a policy of making sure that I'm working within the confines of the Bible translation industry. So what you're going to see soon on the homepage is sort of our partner page that I'm going to list the Bible societies that I'm partnered up, that Cross Bible is partnered up with. So shout out to like uh, Biblica, um, uh, let's see, Thomas Nelson, like all these publishers, HarperCollins. Actually, no, HarperCollins turned me down. There are a lot of Bible publishers and Bible societies who own the copyright to their translations, and they have businesses to run. Right, they have to hire panels of scholars a lot of the times to go through and compile these translations and market them and update them, and so they deserve to get paid for their work, but there is obviously a stigma of kind of, well, how can you charge money for something that, well, first of all, as it was pointed out in the chat, like this is the underlying material is in the public domain, right? But I can tell you that, let's give an example. What is, oh, okay. So this is the Greek New Testament, right? This is Greek. This isn't a translation. This is the quote unquote original, but this is the critical text. So whoever produced this had to painstakingly produce the textual apparatus, or at least update the textual apparatus based on the new evidence, right? People are doing digs in Egypt. They're discovering new manuscripts. They log them, they catalog them, they take, figure out what they said. And then they take that and then the Bible, the editors of the critical text will go in and they will see, okay, does this reading give us a reason to go through and update the text here? And if so, we need to log it in the apparatus. Like that is a big process, right? So the copyright ends here, right? The underlying, all of these individual manuscripts that are cited in the textual apparatus, those are in the public domain. You can't copyright, you can't necessarily copyright the text of Codex Bezae, right? Like this is public domain because it's thousands of years old. But if you digitize it, if you put in the work to digitize it, to log it, to put verse numbers on it, to organize it in a way that makes it readable, and then to put it up on your website, it becomes copyrightable, right? The way that we're set up. Oh, I got Mid-Vision Podcast in the house. Thank you, Derek. Derek gave me a shout out. Keep up the great work, brother. Oh, I can show. All right. There we go. Sorry, I'm still getting used to StreamYard. I know I can pop these things up and share them. So, we are actively reaching out to all of these organizations to license their Bibles. And for the most part, the licenses that we are procuring are for the purpose of displaying those Bibles for free on the website, right? So when you go to Cross Bible, and this is something that you will always be available. Like you'll always be able to just launch a search. Like maybe you're not signed in, right? Like right now, I'm signed in, so I can I have a profile. I can go to a billing page. The billing page is where you can support us, and really this is my plea to anybody who's listening on the live stream or watching later. You obviously have the choice of whether or not you want to use the free version of Cross Bible, which is basically a perpetual free trial, and whether or not to sign up in order to access some of these features, right? You can subscribe to the basic tier, $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month if you really want to help out, right? If you can afford it. If you can't afford it, don't, right? If you can't afford it, just engage with the Bible, use whatever we make available for free. Compare up to 4 versions side by side. All of this capability, it costs money, right? Like we have to build it, we have to host it, we have to keep it secure, we have to work out the bugs, we have to improve it. We're doing a lot of stuff here that's providing a lot of value just so that people all over the world can access the scripture for free. And in that sense, that's our mission. We're sort of ministry adjacent, but we're not a nonprofit, right? We have to find some way to make this sustainable. And the way we're making it sustainable is through the custom Bible study features that we're building over here. So if you are like, I'm going to sign out. So if you're signed out, yeah, you still have access to all of this stuff that I just demoed, right? You can't customize anything because if I'm signed out, we're not going to build customization features like dark mode and different themes that customize your reading experience if we can't sort of like, if you can't come back to it, right? So the idea is you go to sign in, you sign into the website, you then have your, basically the way that you set things up is the way it's going to persist. Another thing that we're working on is the customization of the Bible reader menu, right? The Bible version menu. So if you, like in your own personal Bible study, if you don't know Greek and Hebrew, you might not necessarily want Greek and Hebrew to be in the menu of, like, the Bibles that you're going to read. You're never going to consult it, right? So we're working also on a customization feature that will let you predetermine, like, okay, these are the Bibles that I want to be in the menu when I'm looking for a new version. Because one thing that I struggle with on like other Bible platforms is that they have thousands of, Bible versions and languages. And I, of course, aspire to also acquire, through licensing and other means, thousands of Bible versions. Great. Like, I hope to be able to afford that someday. But not everybody needs access to thousands of Bible versions. So how do you customize it so that if you have like 5 or 6 versions that you prefer to consult on a regular basis, how can you set up your personalized experience so that when you open up the menu, you only see those versions? And which ones do you want to always be on the left? Which ones do you want to always be in the middle? Which ones do you always have to want to be on the right? And you should be able to come into the platform, have all of your notes, have all of your bookmarks, have all of your highlights, have your if you're in dark mode, you're in light mode, you have your preferences already set up. And that is only going to be possible if you register, right? If you register and you log in. So I would encourage everybody, if you're going to be a sort of evangelist of Cross Bible, if you're going to help us out, I would at the very least ask that you register for free. And when you're using it, make sure you're signed in, right? That's going to get you to the first level of your experience without paying anything, right? You don't have to support us. Like our videos, watch our videos, subscribe to the channel, support us through YouTube, but you don't have to upgrade to the next tier if you're not really, if you're not fully committed, right? I want people who are committed. You don't just subscribe for $5 a month to support us if you're not going to use the platform. That's not what that's for. We have a Patreon page. So if you want to be more of a passive subscriber, you can support us on Patreon. I am going to be releasing content on Patreon pretty soon that will be pre-released, so it won't be available to the public. Some of it will always be on Patreon and exclusive to Patreon supporters. So we're really taking 2 different routes, right? So the Cross Bible is going to continue to be a media focused company that produces YouTube content on a regular basis. I'm going to do these live streams every week, and I am going to step up the volume of content that we're producing on the YouTube channel. If you go and you look right now on YouTube and you notice that the cadence of the release schedule is pretty slow, it's because I've been consumed by getting the software off the ground, getting the initial version running. Now that we're kind of in a rhythm now, and we have the initial Bible study features, the premium features up and running, so that you can take notes, you can highlight, and soon you can take notes, you can bookmark, and soon you're going to be able to highlight. I'm going to demo that stuff. Now that we have that up and running, and now that we have a rhythm and we have the Discord going, and I'm getting feedback, and I'm taking that feedback and I'm creating bug reports and other things to give the feedback to the development team, I think I'm in a good spot now to focus a bit more on the YouTube and the Patreon and getting people content if they're not, if they're not ready to make the leap into the, Cross Bible subscription platform. If you signed up, if you registered for the mailing list like a year ago, if you've been following us for a long time and you notice that but you haven't really been using it, if you haven't been logging in, and now you're kind of like, oh, okay, I want to get back in. We deleted a bunch of users because we were getting hit with bots. So we had to go through and sort of like do some housekeeping and clean everything up. And that may have nuked your account if you were a passive user. So you may need to recreate your account. And again, the free tier is going to give you the customizable Bible reading experience with these sort of these presets over here that you're going to be able to set up. So and this is going to expand into different themes, just to sort of make the overall reading experience more pleasing. Increase the font size, decrease the font size. If you're ever showing cross Bible on a stream or something, if you're a YouTuber, obviously right now you can just sort of zoom in like that and zoom out like that if you want to just do it in your browser to make things customizable. But we're going to have more and more customizable features. But really, I think what I'm going to start doing more on these live streams and in my content is taking all of my notes that I have that I need to basically embed into the Cross Bible platform. I've been doing it gradually, but I was tempted to do that work and create sort of pre-recorded content that I would edit, like product demos, right? Like create product demos. That's kind of like, it takes a while. And I think it's better for me to just do it live. Sure, I'm going to fall on my face and I'm going to uncover bugs that everybody's going to see, and it's going to be cemented on YouTube forever. And that's, unfortunate, but I just decided this is the only, this is kind of what I have to do, right? I have to fall on my face. I have to just hit go live and see what happens. So again, I really, really encourage anybody who is serious about this, who wants to see this platform succeed, who wants to see these features that I've been advertising on the homepage for a while, and they are gradually coming to fruition. And I really am thankful for everybody who's currently signed up and who's currently supporting. Thank you to all my Patreon subscribers. Thank you to all of the YouTube subscribers. Thanks to all of the software users who have created accounts, who are sort of patiently wading through this experience in order to get to the end of the rainbow, right? Like there is a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow that's going to have the gospel synopsis, going to have everything that we're advertising. We're going to have a platform for creating translations of the Bible. We're going to help the Bible translation industry. We got a big vision. We're going to have a Greek Greek module soon. That it's already available, but it's I think it's on the high tier right now. I'm trying to work out some kinks there. I'm going to produce a lot of content on YouTube. We're really getting started, and it's all thanks to you. It's thanks to your support. I can't express enough how thankful I am to the people who are ordering posters, who saw like Matt's video, who went and then signed up and ordered a poster. Biblingo is an affiliate. You can go and sign up for Biblingo with the promo code CrossBible10. Biblingo promo code is CrossBible10. You can get a 10% discount on Biblingo. That also helps us as an affiliate. You can contact us, but again, contact is best done through Discord, right? Get on that Discord. That link that I have in the description is going to expire in a week. And I will renew it. I will continue putting it out there. I'll put it out on Facebook, but I'm always going to use probably time-capped Discord links just so I can manage the influx of people and sort of make sure that it's all kosher and everybody's well-behaved. In terms of Patreon, again, yes, the Patreon is new. I think, like if you want to support us on Patreon and on the website, fine. Like I'm just trying to give people multiple avenues that they can use to help out, because we need help. We need all the help we can get to make sure that we cover the cost of continuing to provide the service for free, and also develop these features that are of course we have to put some of them behind a paywall, because we're sort of giving people the opportunity to fuel this engine that we're building, right? So it is a freemium product. Read the Bible for free, compare the Bible for free, sign up for a free account to customize your reading experience. But the note taking, the highlighting, and the bookmarking, like in the categorization, all of the sort of the Bible study tools, those are going to be, most of them are unlocked at the $5 a month tier. And in terms of the Patreon account, I pre-released this interview that I did in Greece in April. And some people who have done the math are like, why'd you do an interview in April and release it in in July? It took me 2 months. This thing was a real beast. And the biggest issue was through some contacts that I have in the Greek Orthodox Church, I was planning the trip to Greece, and I said, I want to interview a Greek Orthodox priest to talk about Greek Easter, because I'm familiar with, Orthodox Easter is the official term, right? It's the same holiday for all of Orthodoxy, Eastern Orthodox Christians. And as a Protestant, I wanted to sort of get an outsider's perspective on this. There is some content on YouTube that is good for this, but I wanted to get an exclusive interview with a priest who would really break this stuff down. And I was hoping to get somebody to give the interview in English, right? Because even though I speak Greek, it's much easier for me to speak my native language in an interview. And I knew that my audience was going to speak English. So I knew that an English video was likely to be more successful than a Greek one. And I went through a few priests who were like, yes, I speak English, but then they reviewed the questions that I was going to ask, and they were like, I'd rather do this interview in Greek, because they're just more comfortable in their native language, especially talking about sort of theological concepts and talking about the Bible and the liturgy. They really felt more comfortable in Greek. And so I finally ended up with Father Evangelos Markadonis, who was the guy that I interviewed. And at first he does speak English very well, and he agreed to the interview in English, but then backed out and was like, we got to do this in Greek. I'm not going to be able to explain myself properly in English. So, shout out to Neil at Gnostic Informant for filming that interview. Thank you so much. He did a great job setting up like the 2 cameras and then following us around the church with a gimbal. And he planted the seed in my mind of like, well, you should dub it over using AI technology, because it's totally automated. You just upload the video in Greek and you download it in English and it's done. Well, there were some problems with that. One of the problems was that the automated translation of just like transcribing the Greek text, first of all, the transcription was incorrect, right? So like the words that he was saying, especially after the audio processing to get rid of a lot of background noise, the transcription came out very, very wrong, right? Like he was saying words in Greek that when I read the transcription, those weren't the words he was saying. So I had to go through and fix the transcription. In some cases, the audio was barely intelligible, and I had to ask my Greek friends to help me. Like, what is he saying here? What is he saying here? Fix the Greek transcription, fix the translation. So the AI generated translation was also really bad. So every time he would say the word like icon, it would translate it as like image, right? Which icon means image, but in a religious context, icon is a different thing. It's an icon, right? So every time he says icon, I got to translate it to say to say icon instead of image. And then when I fixed all of the text in the translation, and again, we're talking like weeks of work like that. I regretted the fact that I interviewed this guy for a full hour and a half, because it created an hour and a half that I had to then, fix. Would it have been easier to translate to English yourself? No. Yes and no. I think at this point, the easiest thing is to run the text through AI translation, and then clean up the AI translation, right? That's always like, it saves you a step. It's easier to edit than to translate from scratch, especially if you have to like, look up a word here and there. I've done translation projects. Like I've translated novels, like I translated a Russian novel, for example, from Russian into English. So, in before the age of AI. And yeah, I mean, if you're at a certain level with the language, you can simply like look over at the text and just translate like this on the fly, right? Like you just type away. I have done that. I can do that in Russian. My Greek is not as good as my Russian. And so I do struggle sometimes with some words and some terms. And I learned a lot of terms from this whole process, this project, this 2-month labor of love to get this Greek interview into Greek correctly, then into English, then dub it over. And then after I tweaked the dub I had to basically make it so he didn't sound so much like a robot, which was another challenge. So this technology is really miraculous. Like what you see in that video is short of a miracle, right? Like you are hearing a computer generated speech using his voice in English when he was speaking Greek. I think most people kind of like, maybe they hear a little bit of it and they're like, it's AI, like, ew. I mean, I'm blown away by the capability, and it's not even close to what it's going to be, right? Eventually this will be just like a one-click process, and I would have been able to release this thing on like May 1st, right? Like it would have just been done. But it took me 2 months to really dial in the transcript, dial in the translation, dial in the voiceover dubbing, which some people have, mentioned like, oh, the accent is annoying. Yeah, it is kind of annoying that it takes Greek and then it dubs it over into English with a Greek accent, which, yeah, I guess in a way it sounds more like what he would have said. But then again, it translated me with a Greek accent. So I was like, what do you think of the Bible and the good, and it's like, it had me speaking as if I were Greek. And so it was, I had to dub over that myself. And in the Greek version that I'm working on, I had to dub over myself in Greek. And I have like a 5-minute video intro on this thing where I kind of rushed. I talked really fast because I wanted to get through it and get to the interview. And man, I I had to dub over myself in Greek, speaking as fast as I spoke in English. And I spoke really fast in English, and I regretted it because it's not that easy for me to speak as quickly in any foreign language as I speak in my native language, which is in English. And for the record, I speak English. I speak, Russian is like my strongest language. I have a bachelor's degree in Russian. I speak Spanish pretty well. My French is pretty rusty, and I also speak, Greek. And obviously I, try to split the difference between ancient Greek and modern Greek. Now, if you join the Patreon, you can get access right now to the same video that's on YouTube, right? So I pre-released it on Patreon, the English dubbed Greek, the Greek Easter interview. And then I am going to be releasing the Greek version today. I'll definitely be finished with it by today. I guess by the time I export it and import it, it'll be available on Patreon tomorrow. So if you join Patreon, if you are one of the people, I know Neo Prototype mentioned that he was one of those people. I got a few people who have commented on YouTube and Facebook saying, I would rather oh yeah, change the speed. Well, yeah, you can change the speed of the video. You can adjust the video speed. So yes, you definitely can adjust the speed. This guy, look, he's a slow talker, right? He talks slow. He works out his thoughts, and he has a cadence in his speech. Well, first of all, let me just play this trailer for the first part of the original Greek interview that is going up on Patreon. If you're the kind of person that prefers to listen to the original language on whatever speed you want, and read the subtitles, if you prefer to hear the original speech in its entirety, this is where you can see that. And then, okay, I'm going to hope that the volume is a reasonable level. Hold on a second. It says it's full volume here. Let me play this full screen. Ready, set. Tell me if there is I hope you can hear it. Let's put it that way.
Λέγομαι πατήρ Ευάγγελος Μαρκαντώνης, είμαι χημικός και θεολόγος, είμαι διδάκτορας στο Πανεπιστήμιο Αθηνών.
Ποια είναι τα βασικά στοιχεία που κάνουν το Ορθόδοξο Πάσχα ξεχωριστό σε σχέση με το Δυτικό?
Δεν σταυρώνω το Χριστός για να εξηλαιωθούμε εμείς για τις αμαρτίες μας. Η βάση της Ορθόδοξης παράδοσης είναι το Πάσχα, είναι η Ανάσταση.
Και η γλώσσα είναι η γλώσσα της Καινής Διαθήκης, είναι η κυρίαρχη γλώσσα.
Ακριβώς. Είναι η γλώσσα, η ίδια γλώσσα της Καινής και της Παλαιάς Διαθήκης, κυρίως με τους Προτεστάντες, οι οποίοι απόλεσαν την έννοια της λειτουργικής παραδόσεως, της λειτουργικής πράξης, της λατρείας.
Μπορείτε να μας πείτε λίγο για το Άγιο Φως?
Το ότι υπάρχει μια ενέργεια εκεί, στον τάφο του Χριστού, απίστευτη, η οποία δεν εξηγείται. Υπομορφή μιας πύρινης σφαίρας, ένα φως διατρέχει το ναό της Ανάστασης, όλο το φόλο απάνω, και κατά ένα παράδοξο τρόπο, καντήλια σβηστά ανάβουν. Κάποιοι έχουν μεταστραφεί στο Ισλάμ, είδαν μια μεγαλύτερη πνευματικότητα ενδεχομένως στο Ισλάμ. Δεν το ξέρω.
Αλλά είναι κάτι κακό, κατά τη γνώμη σας?
Αν πούμε ότι η άγνοια είναι κακό πράγμα, θα το πούμε κακό.
Αν νομίζετε ότι αυτό είναι ένα σύμβολο της νίκης του χριστιανισμού
κατά της παλαιάς, κατά της ειδωλολατρείας.
Ναι.
Σαφώς. είναι ο ιερότερος χώρος του ναού, το κατά Λουκάν Ευαγγέλιο. Τώρα είμαστε στην περίοδο του Πάσχα. Θέλει να δείξει ότι είναι ένας άνθρωπος θεωμένος, μεταμορφωμένος, λουσμένος μέσα στο φως της Ανάστασης, στο φως της μεταμόρφωσης, αυτό που έζησαν οι μαθητές πάνω στο όρος Σταβόρ, όταν είδαν τον Χριστό με όλη του τη δόξα. Η πίστη είναι σαν μια φωτιά που πρέπει να καίει μέσα μας, να είναι ζωντανή.
All right. So I think you could hear that, right? I tested the audio on my other computer, so I think we were good with the audio. That's a small snippet of the interview that I conducted in Greek. I got to admit, I was really nervous speaking Greek in an interview, talking about these topics that I don't usually discuss in detail in Greek. I had a script. I was looking down a little bit at it, like to try to grab the words that I was trying to say to him, but I wasn't like sitting there reading it. I made some mistakes. So, συγγνώμη για τα ελληνικά μου, για τους Έλληνες που βλέπουν και καταλαβαίνουν τα λάθη μου. Anybody who knows Greek is going to make fun of me when I say things that aren't correct in that interview. But I really, look, I tried. I wanted to bring, I wanted to bring this really insightful, wonderful, inspirational man to light. I think he's really something. I mean, I know that, maybe not everybody, here is a believer, and even the ones who are me have a lot of biases or prejudices against, the Orthodoxy, or, big O, or Eastern Orthodoxy. I just wanted to be respectful and hear this guy out and get his feedback on really just a beautiful tradition. Neil and I were there we were in Greece for an entire month. We went to the service on the Sunday before Easter, the beginning of Holy Week, and then the Saturday night service that lasted from 11 p.m. until 2 a.m. And it was just, unbelievable. Like we even when our service let out at 2 a.m., we, like, on our way back to the hotel, like we stopped by another church and it was like still going, and they went until like 3 a.m. And then at 3 a.m. we were like going, and then we hit another like ancient, 9th century church that's like they're still going at like 3:30. Old people, young people, like just packed churches on every single corner, chanting Christos anesti εκ νεκρών, θανάτου θανάτων πατήσας, και της εν της μνήμας εν ζωήν χαρισάμενος. That's the Paschal hymn that they all know by heart. They all sing it like over and over again in this ritual with the incense and the candles. Like, it blows away any other Easter service I've been to, and I'm not even Orthodox, right? Like for me, it's super exotic, and I get it. Like there are, when I told Greek people, right, like, oh, I went to church and I did this thing, like I got this interview with the priest, and I'm gonna make this video documentary. It's funny, the perspective you get from a lot of Greek people is like, who's gonna watch that? Like, who cares about that, right? Like that's they've grown up around it. For them, it's just normal. So they don't really understand why, why it would be interesting for people in the West, or people in America, or wherever you're watching from, people in non-Orthodox countries, to like watch that. Like, why would they watch that? I leave it up to you guys. Like, it's certainly not the most popular video on my channel right now. I think like I'm up above 1,000 views. I posted it yesterday, like on Facebook and the various like Greek groups that I'm in, and man, it's kind of just crickets, right? Like, people are just not really there. I got some likes and a few positive comments, but for the most part, I think that there's sort of there is definitely this wall. There's this divide between sort of the scholarship, like academia in the West, that really think that they have a monopoly on everything, right? Like they really feel like they've, they're the ones, they're the custodians of the Greek text. They're the custodians of Greek scholarship. If they decide one day that, what, we think, ancient Greek doesn't have tense. We don't think these texts actually have the past tense, and the aorist indicative mood doesn't convey the past tense, doesn't encode past tense. This stuff pops up, and it's like nobody really like. Well, why don't we ask Greek scholars what they think? Nobody really respects them. Nobody cares, and nobody pays much attention to what's going on in like the Greek Orthodox Church. So from my perspective as like an outsider, like I go there and I like hear them chanting in ancient Greek, like just, I mean, this guy just spits bars. Like when he is reciting the Bible or the liturgy, you know, the hymns, the psalms that are either an ancient biblical text or it's a sort of modern reconstruction in an ancient biblical text. Um, they're just blowing through that. Like this is their native language. Now, they're not native speakers of ancient Greek, and this is something that came up in the interview is, you know, I was pressing him on certain, you know, because this is my realm of interest. So I'm kind of like, okay, so the language that you're using in the liturgy is ancient Greek, right? Like it's the language of the New Testament. He was like, yes, it's the language of the New Testament. It's also the language of the Old Testament, you know, the Septuagint translation in Alexandrian Greek. And I was really pressing him on just sort of asking like, well, so does that mean that this is a holy language? Like this is, and he's like, no, that's not what we're not saying that the language itself is holy. We are simply preserving the tradition in the original language, but we are open to allowing at least the biblical texts and certain, you know, hymns and things to be translated into other languages so that the worldwide Orthodox community can understand what's going on. But there is still an element, especially in Greece, where the liturgy and the hymns are still recited and sung in the original Greek. And he does disclose in the interview that this is a problem. This is a problem that they have where the younger generations of Greeks, even though they take ancient Greek in school, they're exposed to it through church, and they have a basic level of understanding just kind of by default because they're Greeks. They don't, you know, unless they really roll up their sleeves and study ancient Greek, a lot of it is lost on them. And that is where a disconnect happens in a lot of Orthodox churches. The disconnect happens, and this is sort of part of the battle between, you know, the battle of ideas between the Protestants and the Orthodox. Is just like the Protestants want everything to be in their language, in plain language. They want their Bible translations to be in plain language, and they want their, you know, church service to be in plain language. They want to know what's going on. They don't want something to be, you know, resonating in the church that they just don't understand or they don't track. And this happens in the Russian Orthodox Church. So in a Russian Orthodox Church, you may go to a service. Sometimes they have different services, right? So they'll have a service in the language of the people, like in Russian. So you can go and you hear it, you hear the songs and you hear the sermon. It's like, oh, okay, it's in Russian. But then you go to a service that's in Old Church Slavonic, which is not even an ancestral language to Russian. And now you're kind of only really getting like 50%, right? Or if you're Armenian apostolic, you know, you go to church and you hear, yeah, they're doing the liturgy in Armenian, but it's not Armenian. It's called like grabar. It's like the old version of Armenian that was used to translate the Bible in the original, you know, like some of the oldest translations of the Bible were made in Armenian. And that's the form of the language that got sort of fossilized in their liturgy. And so this is something that we discussed. It's something that the priest acknowledged is a problem, but he didn't really, to be honest, didn't provide much of a solution to that problem other than to say like, we're preserving the tradition. So you kind of have to get on board with that, right? Like you have to accept the fact that you're going to go to church. You're gonna what is going to be sort of resonating in the air is this language, right? It's this. It's not maybe slightly modified, but for the most part, it's ancient Greek. And if you watch the interview, and it's good for even students of, even though like they don't want to admit it, right? If you're just studying biblical Greek, of course, like if you go to a Greek Orthodox church, you're going to hear biblical Greek. You're going to hear, you know, and I don't like the term biblical Greek, but you're going to hear ancient Greek, essentially Hellenistic Koine Greek, the common Greek of the Hellenistic period. That's the variety of the language that you're going to hear in the hymns, in the, you know, the Psalms, the songs that you hear, the liturgy. It's all going to be recited in that form of the language. But if you kind of pluck out your average kind of Bible scholar or seminary student and plop them into that environment, they're really not going to understand anything, right? It's going to go too fast. They're not really trained to listen to the language, and it's using the ecclesiastical pronunciation of Greek, which is effectively the same pronunciation that is used in modern Greek. So when Father Evangelos constantly throughout the interview, he says, you know, this is in a hymn or a troparion. That's what they call troparion. This is in a troparion that we sing, and then he busts out ancient Greek. In every single part of the video where he does that, in the English version where I was dubbing it, I cut off the dub right when he starts speaking ancient Greek. And I pulled up the on-screen text. I made sure that there was like a scrolling text or just text on screen that showed the English and the Greek, the ancient Greek in parallel. And I highlighted the Greek words every single time he said them. And this is something that I recently, you know, I posted this in some of the Greek Facebook groups to say, hey guys, like for all of my Greek nerds here, I just want you to know that I took a lot of time to painstakingly like put all of this text on screen and highlight it. So every time he says a word, it highlights. So you could, in some cases, it was like every syllable. That's part of the reason why it took so long to actually get that video out, because I was trying to make this for the people who, first of all, if you're learning Greek, it's a great resource, right? And even if you're not learning Greek, you still like kind of get a sense of, oh, wow, like this is the original language being said out loud 2,000 years after it was put down in the Bible. Like that's cool. Like even if it's gibberish to you, it still has this sort of air of authenticity that I think is worth listening to. So again, this will be out by tomorrow, probably on the Patreon page. So go, if you want to support us on Patreon, you're going to get access to that. You're going to get access to a lot of other, probably a lot of Greek language content as well. I'm going to produce some tutorials, some things that I'll pre-release on Patreon and then put to YouTube, and some things that I'll just release on Patreon and keep on Patreon so that I can provide value on Patreon in terms of educational Bible-focused media content. Because some people are just going to consume that, right? Like some people are just going to learn from that and maybe not use Cross Bible, right? Or they're going to use Cross Bible and they're going to use they're going to stick to the free version and they're not going to support us over there because maybe they just don't have maybe they don't know where to start. But let's talk about where to start, right? Because we haven't done a lot of the demo. We're already at an hour and a half, and I do want to take some super chats. But I think what I want to show is basically I'm gonna try to expose some issues that we are dealing with in Cross Bible that a lot of other platforms are not really dealing with. And this is sort of part of the differentiating feature of Cross Bible. So first of all, I'm going to show you this table here. This is a table of Bible verses that are missing in various Bibles. So what you'll see, this is kind of a basic inventory, is that modern Bibles like the ESV, the NASB, NIV, Berean Study Bible, SBL, Statistical Restoration, Greek New Testament, Tregelles, Westcott Hort, this upper section has red X's next to these verses, which are, Matthew 17:21, Matthew 18:11, and so on. Got Matthew, Mark, we got Luke, we got John, Acts, and Romans. So these are the prototypical, like there's about like 16 of them that have a reputation for not being there when you're reading these Bibles. And then the traditional older Bibles like Beza's Greek New Testament, Stephanus, these are the Textus Receptus, right? Even Tischendorf, the beginning of the critical text. Tyndale, actually, no, Tischendorf's probably going to be up here. I think that was wrong. The King James Bible, Webster's, the ASV. Actually, the ASV is probably going to be up here. I guess this is my running. I'm trying to create a running tally to basically figure out what to do with these verses that are not aligned between two versions, because when you compare two versions, this is a big can of worms, right? This is going to create issues for you. So let's just start in the Gospels, right? Like let's look at Matthew 17:21. And you don't see the book selector. So Matthew 17, boom. I'm going to jump into Matthew 17 and I'm going to go down to verse 21 and it's not there, right? So anytime you are reading a modern Bible and you get to verse 20, you're going to encounter this issue, because this is the NIV. So I'm going to pin verse 20, right? I went up and down like that. Probably shouldn't do that. So here I'm in the NIV, and it's my primary version. I've highlighted verse 20, but there is no verse 21. It's gone, right? Now, the reason for this, and if you look this up in the critical text, it's going to have the same. So I'm not going to bore you by looking this up in the critical text, but Matthew 17:21 is also going to just be omitted, right? It's omit, and it's going to be there in the footnote in the apparatus, in the textual apparatus, next to verse 20. And it says that there is an A rating. It's going to say omit verse, right? Like omit the verse based on Codex Sinaiticus, Codex Vaticanus, Codex Corodethi. It's going to just list off all of the different manuscripts that are backing up the reason why they took it out. We are working on incorporating a textual apparatus in Cross Bible, so you won't have to look it up here. We're going to start with the SBL, the Society of Biblical Literature apparatus, and then we're going to expand into more advanced apparatuses. We're creating our own custom apparatus so that when you're reading the NIV, for attentive readers, right? Not the people skimming the surface, for the people who are, I'm sorry. Somebody's asking how to send super chats. You can't send super chats. We are not monetized. So this is a free stream. Hold on to your money. Thank you for offering to send a super chat. I will try to review chats pretty soon and address as many as I can, even though, yeah, the super chats are not going to float up to the surface. But if you want to support us, we got, I'll drop the links to Patreon and to, obviously you can go to Cross Bible and subscribe on Cross Bible too, if you really want to support us financially. But this live stream is free. So the problem that arises of people who are actually paying attention is that when they're reading through Matthew 17, let's say they're only reading the NIV, they're going to get to the point where it's going to skip a verse, right? Now, in a verse by verse format, this is really jarring, right? When you have like one verse per line. If you're reading this on another Bible study platform or another Bible website, if they're formatting it in a paragraph chunk, which we're working on, we're developing that functionality so that the NIV, the way that the NIV reads in the print edition, is going to be reflected digitally in Cross Bible. So we're getting there. But usually your eye just kind of skips over it, right? You're not paying attention to the verse numbers, right? So you don't see the skip. But when you present it like this, you really notice it. Now, if I were to compare the NIV to, let's say, okay, so the ASV, so this is the American Standard Version. They're in lockstep, right? The ASV is a predecessor of the NIV. And this is already the early, in the early 20th century, people were starting to realize that verse 21, according to, a lot of these manuscripts that they were favoring, it doesn't belong there, right? They believe that it's a later addition. The author of the Gospel of Matthew supposedly did not actually have that verse in there. So what are we missing? We're missing something we can find in the King James, right? So when you open up the King James, all of a sudden you have this verse 21 in there, that this kind of demon can be exorcised, but through prayer and fasting, right? Like somebody may have inserted that later, or somebody took it out later. If you're of the persuasion that the King James is actually that verse 21 belongs there. But the problem is that we're going out of our way to maintain alignment of all of our verses. But what you can see here is a fundamental misalignment. So now verse 22 is not aligned with verse 22 because we're comparing it to the King James, and there's a break. Okay, so this is a problem. So this is not, right now, this is a feature. It's not a bug, right? So it has been designed right now. The product is the Cross Bible has been designed so that whatever your primary Bible is, that's sort of the versification it's going to favor. And if it skips a verse, it's just going to close off. It's going to close the gap on the left-hand side, because right now the NIV is our primary Bible. Now, let's see what happens. And again, I'm going to fall on my face here and expose some bugs. If you're in the King James and the King James is your primary Bible, and this is something I may have done too fast. If I want the NIV, like let's add another Bible for comparison. So so I got the King James over here. I got the Berean Study Bible, the American Standard. So let's do King James compare the King James to the, let's say like the patriarchal text, right? The New Testament patriarchal text. Statistical is Stephanus. Where's the patriarchal text? There it is. Okay. So we're going to compare the King James to the patriarchal text. The patriarchal text is going to preserve verse 21. So here we got alignment because these two Bible versions have synergy, right? We have the King James that's translating from the Textus Receptus. We got the New Testament patriarchal text, which is a Byzantine flavor, which is more or less like in lockstep with at least the verse numbers of the King James Bible, right? Of the Textus Receptus. So here they're all aligned. But then you got the ASV over here that skips verse 21, and now they're not in alignment anymore. So what we're working on is building an interface, and this is a lot more complicated than a lot of people would think. We're building an interface where basically we have our own internal numbering system that creates the gaps so that the verse 22 and all the subsequent verses get shifted down and are properly aligned, right? And I was going to, I'll do a different live stream where I demo all this stuff because things like this, are jarring for people who aren't really exposed to textual criticism. And this is the sort of underlying, goal of this whole project, right? Like, it's like we're building software that lets you compare versions with verse alignment, right? Nobody else bothers to do this. And most Bible study platforms don't bother to do this. And the reason they don't bother to do this is because they know that there are these versification issues. So if you create a platform that allows you to compare Bible side by side and align the verses, you're fundamentally going to always create a problem, right? So here we have the King James, the patriarchal text, Byzantine, verse 21 is there. We have the ASV, and then let's put, and then, Beza. So now we have 21 in these versions, no 21 here in the ASV. And let's do the SBL Greek New Testament. So we have the SBL Greek New Testament, and I'll also put the let's do from, instead of the American Standard Version. The American Standard Version, by the way, does very frequently end up as a default because right now it's defaulting alphabetically. So American is letter A. It's not because we want you guys to to favor the ASV. The NASB is probably a better, more up-to-date version of that you should be using. But this is going to come into play when you set your preferences for Bibles. So here is an example of the problem, right? I have the King James set as my leftmost Bible. This is my primary Bible that I'm using. And it is set with this pin to make it the primary verse, right? And by the way, I can click this thing to share on social media. With this button, it copies the URL to the clipboard, and I can literally share all 4 of these versions aligned exactly this way. Or I can flip it like this. And again, well, here we have, hold on a second. Yeah, so here verse 21 is completely missing here. You see the problem? It's not my problem. I mean, it's my problem. It's a problem that we're trying to solve because Cross Bible is built around this cross comparison functionality, and the cross comparison functionality is broken at these particular points of the Bible where verses are missing, right? And while none of our competitors are bothered to deal with any of this, right? They just sort of like import the Bible, they put it up there. They're not facilitate. If they facilitate comparison at all, you're just comparing blocks of text to blocks of text, not verse by verse. This is a problem that we're going to solve. Okay, so we are going to create a gap so that if you are comparing a version of the Bible that has a verse with a version of the Bible that's missing the verse, it's gonna always align it's not going to create misalignment moving forward, where then you're looking at 24, comparing it to 25, it's broken, right? Like it doesn't work. So I am exposing effectively what is a default. It is a fault right now in the way that the software is designed, because we are improving it. So just so you know, this is on the roadmap. If you don't necessarily, I do want people to give me feedback on Discord, but I'm warning you now, this is not necessarily something you need to flag in Discord. It's like, hey, the verses are out of alignment. I do have people doing that. There are people who send me screenshots saying like, what's going on here? It's broken. It is kind of like a feature, not a bug. So what you can do is, let's say you are favoring the Greek text. You can go and you can come all the way over here to the right. You can click on verse 22 in the let's do this. Let's click on verse 20 in the SBL. Let's say I want Greek to be my primary version. I'm going to make this version primary with this little pin button. And that is going to take the Greek and it's going to shift it to the left so that that is now my primary like version that I'm comparing all the other versions against, and it's going to put my book menu in Greek. So I warn people not to do this unless they're prepared to have their book menu be in Greek. They need to make sure that you should know Greek if you want it to be your primary version. Otherwise, you can set an English version to be your primary version. But you can easily now you can compare this Greek with this Greek. And you can see that now verses 20 are all in alignment, but you still got 22, 21, 21, 22. So you still have like a kind of fundamental problem that requires additional code, requires additional software logic for our platform to be able to create the separation and maintain alignment across all Bible versions, right? In the New Testament and in the Old Testament. Now, in the Old Testament, this isn't that much of a problem when you're dealing with modern Bible translations that are translating from the Hebrew. The Hebrew text, for the most part, has a sort of fixed versification system in the Masoretic text that gets transferred over into translations from the Masoretic text. However, there are some differences. So 1 Kings 22:43. Let's just look at that. Let's actually wipe the slate clean because we're jumping from the New Testament to the Old Testament, and some of the Bibles we had on display didn't have Old Testaments. So again, we're going to look at 1 Kings 22:43. Let's stick to the NIV. Say 1 Kings 22 and 1 Kings 22:43 through 53. Okay, 22:43 through 53. So here we have this cluster of verses, and I think let's just do something. I'm going to try to break it. Basically, I'm going to pull up Brenton's English Septuagint. Now, if you think that there are versification, like I've introduced you to some versification issues that are mostly focused in the New Testament. The versification system between the Septuagint and the Hebrew is ridiculous. It is absolutely chaotic. It takes forever to align them. And I am trying my best to create a system that will maintain the alignment. But this will very frequently throw you for a loop. And you can see there's already an issue here, right? Like we're in alignment at 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, and then boom, verse 46 in the NIV skips over in the Septuagint. It's not there, right? That entire group of verses is missing because the Septuagint is a translation, a Greek. This is an English translation of a Greek translation. Let's pull up the Greek just so we have a complete picture here. This is Brenton's Greek New Testament. So I can see here on the left-hand side, I have the NIV, an English translation of the Hebrew. Then I have, so Brenton's Greek and Brenton's Greek went away. Let me see. Brenton's English. That was probably a bug. Okay. The NIV, Brenton, right? Brenton English, Brenton Greek. And so here, again, all the way down to 44, 45. Yeah. So here's the jump, right? The jump goes from 45 to 50. So 46 through 49, not there in the Greek, there in the Hebrew, translated into English, and it's an offset due to split verses in the Masoretic text, right? And what I could do is I could open up my study panel. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm adding a new version. Okay, sorry. That's not the button I wanted to press. So the button I want to press is this Study Tools button. So this Study Tools button will allow me to basically take a note. Let's go ahead and highlight 45. I'm gonna pin this. I'm gonna copy this, I'm going to create a note, and I'm going to paste it in here. Let me see. That didn't work properly. Let me refresh. Okay. I've indexed verse 1. I'm going to try this one more time, and then I'll get to some chats. All right. I'm going to make verse 45 my primary. That's going to anchor me in verse 45. Boom. Then I'm going to refresh real quick. Make sure that I'm still on verse 45. Okay. It's going to reload. It's a little bit slower on my computer because it's like some of my bandwidth is getting eaten up by StreamYard, and I only have 400 megabytes. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to create a note. And boom. Okay, here we go. So this is what you can do to copy and paste this into, on social media. It won't work in the chat of a YouTube video because it has a URL. So sometimes YouTube comments won't let you put a link, but I'm able to basically copy and paste that into like a Facebook post or a Facebook comment or something like that. If you want to engage in social media, link people back to Cross Bible in this exact layout, in this vertical alignment, and then copy the English, the Greek, the English, and the Greek from these versions. And this, if you wanted to highlight something about these three versions in comparison, you can add it as a note, right? And I can also bookmark it, and I can say this is a textual variant, right? Like I can bookmark textual variant, and I can come back to my bookmarks, and I can jump to this because I've already studied it and I've already left a note here. And these notes are just going to be your sort of breadcrumb trail through the Bible to go back and retrace your steps of what you were previously studying. So that is the feature that currently is available for $5 a month. If you can support us and we can support your Bible study, we could get into this reciprocal relationship where we can help your Bible study. You can help us improve the product. And if you get on Discord, you can submit your feedback and we can sort of build this together. I really am inviting everybody to come on board and help and cooperate with, or just participate in what we're doing, which is the main differentiator, right? It's our community, right? We're building a community here of people who are interested in pushing the horizons of what is currently possible right now on, on the internet, right? The browser is a very powerful tool that allows for the development of interactive applications. Cross Bible is really like, it's gonna be like the ancestry.com or 23andMe of Bible study, right? Like there are software platforms, especially like mobile applications, that have great UI. They're very well designed. They're very usable. They're beginner friendly. They're user friendly. And for some reason, the Bible sort of software, Bible website industry is just super stagnated, right? Like they are sort of locked into these major, companies that have been around forever, that have built sort of, now stagnant products that, they serve a lot of ads. We don't serve any ads on our website. We don't have the traffic to even justify that. It's a dead end, right? Like the cement is dry, nothing's happening over there. So if you're used to it and this is just what you use, if you've invested in that platform, if you put a lot of your notes on like, another Bible website, maybe you don't want to leave, maybe you don't want to migrate all those notes because they have no way to let you like save them. But if you want to invest in your own Bible study and invest in our project, come into Cross Bible. If you have, marginal notes in your Bible, like I got a ton in my in my UBS 5 New Testament, I got like marginal notes. It is part of what I'm going to start doing on regular live streams is taking those marginal notes, putting them into my Cross Bible account live, sharing that with you guys, and sort of taking you on this journey with me, because ultimately, I'm not building this product in a vacuum, right? I'm not and I say I, but I mean we, right? Like my team, I have really talented developers who I'm not coding all of this myself. And we are going to bring everybody along with us on this journey to sort of push this frontier of Bible study into the 21st century and develop like a new user-friendly interface that will let people dig deeper into the Bible, with the main goal of bringing cross references to the surface, right? So this is a cross-reference Bible, right? Like the domain is crossbible.com, but it is effectively a cross-reference Bible, right? So it is going to point you between the New Testament and the Old Testament. It's going to happen right here in this window, right? So when you're signed up, when you get, access to these tools that are currently, premium tools, you're going to be able to take notes. You're going to be able to bookmark. You're going to be able to see the highlights that you take. You're going to be able to highlight in here, and you're going to be able to, this is just like a preview. You're going to be able to highlight, and you're going to be able to annotate your highlights. And then on the next level, like soon to be released, you're going to have access to your textual apparatus to see what those textual variants are. We're going to get translations of those textual apparatus. So you're going to see it in your language, English first, but eventually we'll build in Spanish, we'll build in Portuguese, we'll build in Russian, whatever, modern Greek. We'll localize this platform for all nations, like all languages, for people to have access to these tools in their languages. And most important, right now, we do currently have word search capability. So you can go in here and you can look for the word love. This is super powerful, by the way. Like what we got running on under the hood takes every single instance of the word love from all these Bibles, and it will put it in your search results, and you can pull it up. Eventually that word search capability is going to then tap into the Greek. So that when you search in English, you can pull up results in Greek. That's a sort of another level of development in the next iteration that we're going to release. Lemification, so that if you look up love, you should also get loves and loved and different forms of that same word. So that is going to end up being a very, very powerful word search tool that will rival a lot of the other platforms. We have Thayer's Greek lexicon is the first on the agenda to integrate. We're going to get Hebrew lexicons. There are the top scholarly lexicons, which are like BDAG for the Greek and Halot for the Hebrew. Those are all owned by the German Bible Society. The German Bible Society is this publication right here. They are now our partners, so we are officially partnered with the German Bible Society. We have licensed a German Bible and a Portuguese Bible from them, and we are working out an arrangement where, when the new version of the Greek New Testament comes out, the Nestle Aland 29 and the UBS 6, and the BHQ, Biblica Hebraica Quinta, when all of these new scholarly editions are continually updated, when they become available in print from the German Bible Society, I can't promise this. This isn't an official announcement, but I'm trying to work out a way to get them to be available on Cross Bible. It's going to be a lot of work. We're going to have to really step up our game and get the platform up to the standards required by that publisher. They have very strict standards about just, we have to format the text in a specific way. We have to have section headings in that are a specific way. There's a lot of hoops that we need to jump through, but we really want to provide not only the latest and greatest Greek and Hebrew critical editions for our users, potentially on a premium basis, right? We're not going to be able to make those available for free. And then for some of these really like the scholarly lexicons that are currently really not available on most platforms, at least not as on a subscription basis, you can make a digital purchase. Those are also going to be available on Cross Bible when we are able to graduate to that level. But again, it really just it's up to you, right? It's up to you. It's not up to me. It's up to you. It's up to everybody out there who is listening, who recognizes the need for a tool like this, for people like me and people like you, people who are in that middle ground that I was talking about earlier, right? Maybe you're not a beginner, right? You're not a noob. You're not like, you didn't just crack open your Bible for the first time last week. Maybe you did. I don't know. If you did, you're still welcome. But I'm just saying, you're curious, right? You want to dig deeper. You're interested in like comparing two different versions. You want to know, why is that verse missing, and then dig through a little rabbit hole to get to there. Like, you're intellectually curious, you're smart, you want to dig deeper, but you realize that, well, like if I want to dig deeper, man, I gotta get a copy of this and a copy of this and a copy of this, and I gotta have them next to me, and I gotta go over my bookshelf. And it's overwhelming, right? Like you may be in a position where it's like, I can't enroll for a PhD, I can't go to seminary, I can't build myself up to the level where I really could get access to some of these resources. But I want a platform that will help me, that will guide me through that process, that will flag the cross references for me, that will have an interactive timeline so I can make sense of when it's citing a manuscript, or what is that manuscript and when does it date, and can I get information on it? I mean, it's what I was going to say earlier when I rabbit trailed into something else, is that the Matt Baker video that illustrated this timeline with the traditional text types did not get a great warm reception on some of the the like Facebook group dedicated to textual criticism. The reason being that a lot of people in those groups are really like, they kind of pearl clutching when they see the sort of traditional text types, because they're like, well, we abandon these traditional text types, like they're invalid. Well, yes, but a lot of the Bibles we have, like a lot of the literature we have, is like based on this, right? So this is still the entry point. You still have to understand this in order to understand the foundation of modern Bible scholarship, at least with respect to textual criticism. So even if somebody somebody suggested like, oh, well, you need to like completely like get rid of this timeline and build a new one because it's all obsolete. Well, then we have to like, are we going to have a book burning party? Is that what we're going to do? We're going to start book burning. We're going to burn Metzger's books. We're going to burn Alon's books. We're going to totally like throw out the baby with the bathwater. No. The point of this is to sort of lay out, this is the traditional paradigm that is at the foundation of all of modern Bible scholarship, right? I do have additional information here available in all of these notes. You can click on them, you can open them, you can read them, you can contest them, you can write me and you can say, I think the date range for P52 is too, like you need to extend this box out from the, early second century to the late 4th century. Like this is too narrow, and you can give me a citation and I might actually modify it, right? I modify this Bible timeline all the time based on user feedback. This is not set in stone. Nothing on this platform really is set in stone. And I'll leave you with this final teaser. The Greek module is currently, I think it's accessible. It's accessible on one. It's not accessible on the $5 tier. It's not really ready for prime time. That's why I kind of like I paywalled it. I think if you pay the $20 a month, if you're a patron level supporter, you can play around with this. But it's not for everybody. It's not completely ready yet. But the idea here is that you can come in here and like look up a word, and you can pull it up and find it in modern Greek and ancient Greek, right? So you can see that, okay, in modern Greek, mother is mitera. In ancient Greek, it's mitir, right? And grandmother is yaya, and ancient Greek is tithi. This is very, very helpful for people who want to bridge the gap between modern and ancient Greek. I have a pronunciation module that if you are learning the modern Greek pronunciation, you will hear me reciting all of these things. You can click on it and you can see, ideally this is like, like a flashcard, right? You want to just be able to see it and pronounce it. But if you're curious, this is how the letter's pronounced. And this is the example words in modern Greek and ancient Greek that illustrate the pronunciation with some background information. This was really like a big lift to get all of this in my pronunciation dictionary with all the audio. I have verb charts that you can also search through. So right now I have one verb just as the pilot, because I'm trying to come out with basically paradigms that you can shift. Like, okay, here's the ancient Greek paradigm, here's the modern Greek paradigm for almost the exact same word, but it's evolved, right? Like it's changed over time. And you need to be able to distinguish like what is the difference, right? So again, mitera is modern Greek and mitir is ancient Greek, and there's no dative case in the modern Greek. And things that will just basically like help you figure out the difference, right? You don't have to reference the modern Greek. Like you could just study ancient Greek, but I've created a platform, or I'm working on this platform so that people can basically, use modern Greek as a springboard into ancient Greek. So now that we're past the 2-hour mark, thank you to the 21 people who are still here. I will start going through some chats. Again, there is no super chat. If you are in the mood to support us and you wish you had a super chat button, I will copy. Let's see. Let me give you, again, links are all in the description, right? But if you really want, let's see, if you really want to support us, we got Cross Bible Patreon. You can support us on Cross Bible Patreon. You can support us on the Cross Bible platform by simply going and signing up. So like, let's say if I'm going to sign out of my account, the sign up screen is Cross Bible Register, right? So Cross Bible Register, that will, yes, 21 people, 22. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And if you haven't liked it, please, I hope, like, how many likes do we have? Eight likes. There are 8 likes. Sorry, I needed to, okay. Let's get 20 likes. Can we do that? If I got 20 people here who are still paying attention, even if you've just played it in the background, if you can hear me, let's see if we can get to 20 likes. 19 watching now. Yeah. So if you want to support, if you're upset that you can't super chat, and you want to support, let's, register for Cross Bible. It's free. Then after you register, if you're like, I want to sign up, I want to take notes, I want to highlight, I want to unlock all of this potential. Then after you've signed in, you can go to the billing page. So come up here in your right top right corner, go to the billing page, and sign up for one of these tiers, right? The basic tier is going to unlock most of the features, right? So definitely subscribe on the basic tier. And then you can get yourself up to the, standard and patron tier if you really are generous. Let's see, Patreon Cross Bible. Like I said, by tomorrow, I'm going to have a new video up, which will be the Easter interview in Greek, right? So I will get that up there in Greek for the people who care about and respect the original languages and don't want to listen to the AI dubbing. I think that's also important. All right. I guess did we get 31 likes? Oh, no, we haven't got 31. Okay. So please like the video. Please make sure okay. Yeah. 31 likes. All right. It just didn't refresh. Perfect. Thank you so much. Please share, please also, watch hours right now are a key metric right now on YouTube. So I thank everybody for sticking around for 2 hours. If you have the time to take a look at any of our other content, if you haven't watched our other videos, especially, I'm going to plug YouTube Cross Bible Official. You can see I'm getting close to 2,000 subscribers. Definitely, please watch the interview. Right, the interview was really like the most work that I have made on any of my invested into any of my videos. Any of these videos that are an hour, just play those in the background if you like while you're cooking or something like that. They were a big time investment for me to present my research and edit these things in an engaging way. The Greek versus Hebrew video actually did pretty well. This one got 6,000 views already. So like that was a great milestone for me. But if you haven't seen it yet, please get me a view. And if anybody has any last minute, first of all, does anybody want a poster? In all of my social media posts and in the description, I gave instructions for people to drop a hashtag in the chat to get a free poster, and nobody did it. So I don't know who to give a poster to. But okay, so here, let's just follow through with this, because I have a poster that I have earmarked. This one. Wait. Okay. So this one right here. So basically, if you are in the chat, drop hashtag timeline poster in the chat, and you will get in the mail next week. I will wrap this up with a bow and send it to you. I will send this one to you. It is from my first batch of timelines of the Bible. And by the way, I'm going to show this to anybody who is interested, anybody who is still on. Let's see, silent image file. Let me just show my, I guess I can't really show this. Basically, this timeline, okay, poster, poster for Sissy. Okay, so my sister wants a timeline. Brandon, I think is in the lead right now, following instructions. So Brandon, you should message me. Okay, we got this. So I'll see. I think there is a way I can afterwards figure out who the. Okay, I got two candidates. Definitely reach out, jump on Discord, and okay, all right, we got a few candidates for timeline poster, Neo prototype. Homeschooling the kids. Oh yeah. If you're homeschooling the kids, definitely. If you have a kid that has has an interest in this sort of thing, good for you. I haven't really gotten my kid very interested in that particular poster. It's a little overwhelming for a child, but if your child has a sharp eye, they're a future Bible scholar. Congratulations. So there were a few people asking about super chats. Like I said, go support us if you are inclined to super chat. But okay, USA only. Message me if you want to order one, if you want to pay for one. Yeah, I have disabled international shipping because it was a bit of a disaster to try to ship these things originally. I've kind of streamlined the shipping process right now, but it's just hard for me to calculate, like, I'm charging $10 for shipping because it's a little over $10 for me to ship it. For international shipping, just message me. If you really want a poster, you can order it, pay for the domestic shipping, and I'll just figure out like where you are and I'll calculate what the shipping is going to be. Okay, so just make sure you get on Discord. You can DM me on Discord, or if you're on Patreon, you have a direct line of communication to me. You can message me on Patreon if you become a Patreon supporter. And I am doing. I'm trying to figure out the way like all the pricing is supposed to work. If you are really if you really want to support us and you really want to like pitch in $20 a month to really like get us going and get the engine churning, you will get a free poster. So I am going to at least give back in that regard, either on Patreon or on the software platform. So the subscriptions there kind of mirror each other. And then, okay, so and obviously you can just order it if you really want a poster, just order one. And again, shout out to Matt Baker. Make sure, let's see, make sure you watch, just because it doesn't really like support. I mean, it doesn't support Matt. Basically, make sure you are watching make sure you have seen the useful charts cross Bible feature. If you haven't already, that video was awesome. It's a great sort of like, I couldn't have done it better myself, right? Like just a great overview of the timeline of the Bible. It gave me a huge, I think I got 1,000 new people hitting the site just in 24 hours after that thing dropped. We sold a bunch of posters. And for anybody who's like, oh, that's like, it's overpriced. Like I haven't even recovered the cost of printing those posters yet. Like it's all of this stuff is a massive investment. So anything you can do to help really just helps us recoup the cost, basically. Like it's just keeping the lights on. So I'm going to try to go through before I cut this off. I don't want it to go too much longer. Let's see. Anybody want to resurface any comments? I feel like I've neglected a bunch of comments because I was rambling, and only now am I really focused on the chat. I'll look for question marks in the chat. If I ask ChatGPT to compare text, is it going to use your app, Jesus Tales? No, but if you ask ChatGPT to compare text, it's probably going to just like make up texts and lie to you about it. Let's see. We got, shout out to Adonis Anthony of Charisto. It was excellent. I look forward to your next session. Yeah, that is my Greek student, Anthony. I do, I've said in previous videos that I do privately teach Greek online. I have consolidated my Greek students into a Friday morning session. It's a group class, but I've been getting a lot of positive feedback from it. Like my Greek students are hanging out in the chat. So if you want to jump into that, it is a beginner class, but we do sort of dabble in advanced things. I teach communicative modern Greek, but with a sort of anchor, like a sort of foot in ancient Greek all the time. So I'm bringing in ancient Greek concepts, etymologies. We kind of bounce around. We use a textbook that is a modern Greek textbook, but we introduce a lot of ancient Greek into the process because, again, we try to sort of bridge the gap. You should contact Bart Ehrman to join his BSA Academy for tools to use. I actually think the opposite. I think I would provide the tools for them to potentially use on their platform or feature on their platform. I have reached out. I don't know what kind of, the thing is, like, there is, this is a Christian organization, right? Like Cross Bible is a Christian organization. We are open to believers and non-believers. We're open to anybody who wants to study the Bible. But, we do have to be sort of careful about those kinds of associations because of the optics. We're open, but at the same time, there is a certain ethic that we need to uphold. A statement of faith and contractual obligations to Bible publishers to maintain a clean slate. Let's put it that way. And then if you can hang out in the Friday Greek class, yeah. So if you can hang out in the Friday Greek class, just reach out. There's a contact form on the website. Again, you can contact me via Discord. You can contact me via Patreon if you're a Patreon supporter. I think I doxed myself a few times in this video when I was logging into the website. That is okay. Don't forget Richard Carrier. Not sure what there is to remember about that, but I definitely do not forget Richard Carrier. And let me see if there are any other question marks of people who are like the hardcore audience who is still listening. Maybe people have dropped out. People like, okay, Mandy Moorhall said, people like me, I feel so special. You should feel special. If you are in this elite club of 21 people, wait, is it 21 people? I don't know. Do I need to refresh? Yeah, if you're an elite club of a couple dozen people who are geeking out over newly developed Bible study software, you are pretty special. So I really appreciate people for getting in here. Let's see what other. I'm just scrolling for question marks. I know that there was a bunch. Thank you so much for engaging in the chat. Please engage in the comments too. Like drop comments after this and be nice. We got all of our likes up. Thank you so much. I'm here and I'm a Greek geek. Okay, yes. Brandon is a Greek geek. I love it. Thank you. Yes. And if you're a Greek geek, again, that Greek interview is going to be up on Patreon tomorrow. I'm doing a final polish right now on some of the, my own Greek dubbing. I recorded myself speaking Greek to put over my English in that video intro where I was really like babbling so fast. And now I have to, figure out how to fit all the Greek in there. I guess that's it. I'm sorry if I missed any comments that had question marks that I'm not able to find easily. Constellation Pegasus, nothing wrong with being a Greek geek. So thank you for being part of this historic first live stream ever. And it is an honor to provide you guys with value that you know, if you're here, you find it valuable on both the software side, providing you with tools that will enrich your Bible study experience, providing you with videos and educational content that will help bring you along on my journey, because I'm not a scholar, right? Like I don't, I have a bachelor's degree in Russian that doesn't count for a whole lot, even though it's good language experience. And yeah, I should coin the term Greek geek. Greek geek is just too hard to say. I like the term, you know what? I like the term Greeking out. That's my favorite one. I mean, so we Greek out every Friday. You're welcome to enroll in that class if you want to come in and sort of jump into the middle of it. We don't really have a structure. It's not like a semester where we're in like unit 4 of a textbook, but we kind of meander through the textbook, so you can catch up pretty easy. And then Greek is hard to speak. Greek is hard to speak. That is true. It is one of the most challenging languages out of all of, like my five-ish languages that I speak. Greek is definitely one of the most challenging, mainly because Greek can't really, Greek out, let off some steam, Constellation Pegasus. Greek is a language that is kind of in conflict with itself all the time due to something called diglossia. So ever since the Hellenistic period, 안녕하세요, speak Korean. I know a little Korean. We have a Korean Bible on the platform that needs to be updated. We need a newer version of the Bible in Korean on the platform, but love my Korean community. That's why we one of our first foreign language Bibles, or non-English Bibles, non-Greek and Hebrew Bibles on the platform is Korean. But yeah, out of all of my language journey, which I'll have to sort of make a separate video about, man, Greek is really like, it just kicks my butt, right? Every single day. I raised my kid speaking Greek. It was like one of his first languages, and he picked it up like a sponge, and like he outclassed me by the time he was 3. It is really difficult. But I got a hack. I really believe that, I think my returning students who haven't quit my Greek course so far can attest to this. I have a hack. I have a way to sort of make it simpler. And it's the pronunciation that's difficult. Yes, the pronunciation is difficult. If you think about it, like English pronunciation is difficult too. Like French pronunciation is difficult too. Like languages, is Greek more difficult than Russian? Yeah, it is. Russian's very difficult. It is very difficult. But the thing that Russian has that Greek doesn't is Russian is very standardized, right? It is extremely standardized. There is always a gap between the literary form of the language that's considered like formal and the sort of colloquial language that people actually speak, right? There's always a gap. There's a gap in English. So, we say in English, like, who you looking at? We don't say like, whom are you looking at? Or like, who you talking to? Versus like, to whom are you speaking, right? We have like a formal register that is like mandates that you say, to whom are you speaking? And we have like a sort of, like who you talking to, that you would casually say. There's always a gap between those. But in English, they're sort of like, they're not too far. In Russian, they're not too far, right? Like, I mean, you do have to, like, basically, when I got my Russian major, I had to learn literary Russian in order to understand Dostoevsky, right? Like, you can't just come into Dostoevsky with street Russian. Like, I spoke Russian well enough by the end of my stay in Moscow that people thought I was Russian when I spoke. But then I picked up Dostoevsky and I was like, oh, gee, like Pushkin. I couldn't read Pushkin. Like, I couldn't read the highest level of the literary language with only the colloquial language under my belt. And because of the difference, right? But that difference is like, if it's like this in Russian, it's like this in Greek, right? Like, Greek is like, you can get to a level of being able to speak colloquial. Let me take this off. You can speak colloquial modern Greek, demotic, demotiki Greek, pretty well, and like really struggle with the highest register of the language, which is like kathareusa, which is basically like modeled off of ancient Greek, right? Like Russian is so similar to Greek. I think a lot of the culture and language is borrowed. Yes, a lot of Greek people don't like it when I say that, because they don't really understand. They struggle with the sort of direction of the cultural inheritance. The Russians really took their culture from the Byzantines, especially with regard to religion. The Russian alphabet, the Cyrillic alphabet, is basically just a revamped version of the Greek alphabet with additional letters for Slavic sounds. And the grammatical structure of their language being with a verbal system that is very much based in it's an aspectual verbal system, just like very, very, very similar to Greek, where you have the perfective and imperfective aspect. I really built up my chops in Russian, learning how to fluently speak a language that has like lots of different 6 cases, grammatical cases that need to agree between like adjectives and noun and gender and number, and you got to think on your feet, think fast, and like be able to spit out all the different forms of these verbs and these nouns and learn these huge like I did all of that with Russian. So when I got to Greek with this experience in Russian, it was like a very natural progression. Whereas like if I started with Greek, Greek, I could have gone from Greek to Russian, and then Russian would have been a little bit easier because some of the concepts that you learn in Greek apply to Russian. Some of the concepts you learn in Russian apply to Greek. Not all the concepts that you learn in Spanish, for example, like apply to Greek or Russian, right? Grammatical gender, yeah. There's some crossover. So it does, any language you learn makes learning the next language easier. So like my first language, Russian, a real pain, really difficult. After that, Spanish was like a cakewalk, right? Like French is like a little annoying. And then Greek was like, by the time I got to Greek, I already had a system of learning. I knew how I needed to learn language. And so it was sort of a natural progression. Thank you. I love your approach to this stuff. Thank you. Thank you, JFrog 111. I'm just treating every chat right now like it's a super chat. I think now the countdown for wrapping this up at the 2.5 hour mark has reached its climax. We are ready to end the stream. Thank you so much for being a part of this and for all of the last minute chats that came in. Oh, sorry, one more chat. English pronunciation is a mess because of the great vowel shift. Yes, English pronunciation is a mess because of the great vowel shift and because of the fossilization of the pronunciation systems that were in place when the printing press was invented and English pronunciation was in flux. So that's also another issue of why our pronunciation system is so terrible. By comparison, I don't think we have much ground. We don't have grounds to complain about Greek pronunciation. From English pronunciation is still much, much worse. We just don't feel it if we're native speakers of English or if we've been doing it for a long time because it's we're used to it. But you can get used to Greek. It's not that bad. You just need a good system, and I have a good system. So if you want to jump in the Greek class, send me a message. Again, thank you for supporting us. Even if you can't support us financially, just subscribe, watch the YouTube videos, register on Cross Bible for free. It is free. Most of the stuff that you're going to be able to use on a daily basis and the comparison and the customization, all that stuff's going to be free if you're registered. But if you can bump it up to the $5 tier on the website, please do. If you can support us on Patreon, please do. And then, once we're able to monetize the channel, I will continue doing these live streams on Saturdays, and eventually we'll be able to accept support in the form of super chats. Buy a poster. Witch Doctor, my Greek sounds like a bad Italian accent. Well, Italian and Greek have a lot of crossover, right? So if your base pronunciation is Italian and you're taking that sort of system, that phonetical system into Greek, and you're pronouncing Greek like Italian, at least you don't sound like a gringo, right? You don't sound like mapping American sounds onto Greek is a little problematic. But people do it all the time, right? That's the way, you are going to hear seminary Greek, like Erasmian pronunciation, where they're going to say like hieratai, tais, tais, tais calais, glosses, tais hellenikes, and like that's the way, that's the way I heard it when I first started studying Greek. And it was a big turnoff. Like I couldn't I refused to speak that way. Like I just would not speak that way. And that's why I developed the approach that I developed, which is just sort of like learn all Greek. All Greek is good, right? Like, but the pronunciation system is it's been modernized. I'm not saying it is historically appropriate. Like, yes, it is. The ancient pronunciation was different, but the modern pronunciation can, with a certain approach, be applied retroactively to any form of Greek. It's been done for centuries. There's no reason you can't do it. Oh, Erasmian trigger. Yeah. Erasmian. So Italian and German don't have these inconsistencies. Well, there are some cases, but not like in English. But OFC, it's all about getting used to. That just takes time. Yeah, I mean, Italian and like Spanish, like they're very phonetic systems, right? Like they pronounce things mostly the way that they're spelled. I learned both modern and Erasmian. I triggered you with Erasmian. Yeah, there's a really good ancient Greek course taught by Professor Molnar on the greatcourses.com that I watched. Like I binge watched it when I first started studying Greek, like over a decade ago. And yeah, he begins every lesson with Hierate, mathetai, tes calais glosses, tes hellenikes. Like that's exactly the way he sounds. And but he's really hammy and funny, and like he knows what he's doing. He's not like pretending. He's just like, I'm just using my American accent because like, why not? Like I can't roll my R's. I just like, it's a relaxed approach to language learning that you couldn't get away with if you were doing that in it. Like you can't, si hablo español como un gringo, like you're gonna, like bother people. They're gonna be like, just stop, right? But you don't get a lot of people saying just stop in Greek. The old Greek goodbye going on here, Steven. So yeah. Okay, so we chatted on Discord. I hope you will offer some intermediary advanced classes in the future. Yeah, I might diversify. I mean, I don't know. You could still hop in to the Friday class and just see if you like the discussions. But yeah, if you're already kind of on an advanced level, I don't know. There just probably wouldn't be the volume to justify breaking out a new advanced session until I get to the point where, yeah, if I have a lot of people that want to do advanced Greek, I'd love to roll up my sleeves and do some advanced Greek. But right now I have a little cohort that I'm probably going to just bring into that level if they keep it up. So far, I think it's going really well. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining. I'm going to wrap up and hope everybody has a nice day. Again, please watch more of our content. That's the basic way you can support us. Just stay subscribed. Watch any videos on the Cross Bible YouTube channel that you haven't yet seen. Share it with your friends. Use the platform for free if you want. Abuse it all you want for free. We'll cover the bill for that use. Share it on social media. Tell your friends about it. Bring it into your Bible study groups or whatever you got going on. And if you can afford $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you can afford, we're going to unlock a lot of great capabilities for you on the platform. And if you're not interested in that, we got Patreon. We're gonna start giving people a lot of different ways to support us. And if you jump on Patreon tomorrow, you're going to get access to that Greek interview. So I hope I might be able to entice a few people to join us over there. All right. Bye, everyone.